Welcome to Vallelunga for the first ever FIA Motorsport Games. And here, Saturday evening under the floodlights, what better way to end the action on track today than with the finals of the Drifting Cup. We last night started with 22 nations. We're down to the 16 qualifiers, although a couple of those have hit problems. We'll come to that in a moment. And now we go through from the top 16, through the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, the third place battle, and as the rain starts, the final itself. David Addison and Stephen Evans. Trackside, looking forward to what's going to be another spectacular evening. Now, they've been out practicing, and that was on a very dry road, lots of smoke generated, and just when we don't need it, here comes the rain.
Yeah, it couldn't be any worse time. It really couldn't. It was amazing. The dry was great and smoke. It's a different setup for the cars. They're all going to be set up for the wet, for the dry. Then they're going to have to quickly change their cars. But we've got 16 cars, so the way it's going to go is you have number 1 qualifier will battle number 16. So you have our number 1 man versus our number 16. The easiest way for me to explain it.
Yep.
He will do. The number 1 qualifier will lead first. So he leaves the start line, number 1 driver must be in the lead. Second, number 16 place man tucks in behind. Must not be alongside, he must be behind on initiation. So it's almost nose to tail. You can come out slightly, but they don't want to see the drivers alongside. And then once you get round having one battle, we'll get back to the start line and they swap places. So the guy who qualified 16th now goes at the start. He's the leader, and the number 1 qualifier now has to chase the number 16 place.
We'll come back to exactly what lead and chase is all about in a moment. They get 2 runs, as Steve is saying, 1 lead, 1 chase, but the lower scoring drops out. So you go from the top 16 into the quarterfinals, then into the semi-finals. There'll be that third placed shootout. Now, last night it was 1 car at a time, and the scoring was very different from what we're going to have tonight. Let's find out exactly how it is going to be scored, because Louise Beckett is with the judges and she can tell us more, so can they too.
I'm with one of our 3 judges, Ryan Launtang. Now, Ryan, it's a different format this evening. We've got 2 cars out on track at once. Can you just explain what happens and what you're looking for?
Yeah, tonight is the heart of the competition. This is the Tendon Battle portion. The qualifying that we saw last night isn't as exciting because it's 1 car at a time, but it's necessary to get them positioned for tandem competition tonight. It's 2 cars going head-to-head against each other. They both will have the opportunity to lead and to chase. The lead driver has responsibilities. They need to try to score a 100-point qualifying run, which uses all the criteria from last night. So that means great angle, filling all the zones with a good momentum throughout the course. The chase car needs to be as close to that lead car as possible, mimicking everything that they're doing throughout the course. And then they switch positions and they get to do the opposite drive basically through the course. As judges, we're looking for that lead driver to be as close to a 100-point qualifying run as possible, and the chase driver to be as close to that lead while mimicking what they're doing from start to finish.
Okay, now last night we had 6 outside zones. What do we have tonight that we have to think about on the circuit?
We have the exact same layout as last night. So we have the 6 outside zones that you see there on the screen. And what we've also included on this map are the decel areas. Now, where we see little red marks on the track are areas where we are expecting the lead driver to slow down. These are areas that they need to slow down to get the car to the right speed for the corner. We do this because we have seen in the past drivers being a little bit tricky with where they slow down, which causes the chase driver to then make mistakes, making it harder for that chase driver to follow the lead. If we set up a track like this with dedicated decel areas, the chase drivers know when to expect a decel, and they know where they can get close and where to expect a decel, so they know that they're not going to crash into that lead driver unexpectedly.
And tell me about transition points.
So the transition points generally are going to be between 2 outside zones. Not always, as in this course, we have 2 outside zones, number 2 and 3, that are kind of on the same arc of a corner. So there's no transition there, but generally, once a car has made it through one long sweeping corner, they need to get set up for the next corner, which means they need to transition the car to angle in the opposite direction. So we have 4 different transition points on this track, and in our eyes as judges, we like to see a minimum of 2, preferably 3 or 4 transition points, because it shows which driver is more talented, more skilled, and able to get through the course in the lead and the chase position. Because for that chase car, if they're on the inside here, after the transition, they have to move out of the way and then get back inside. It's a highly technical move that shows great skill and talent on the part of that chase car, and that's why we like to put them in the course to really see which driver is capable of performing at a higher level.
And they're working together then, really. They're competing, but they're also working together.
They are, and that's why we put so much emphasis on the lead driver. If he doesn't do what he's supposed to in the lead position, it can make it very difficult for the chase car to do their job in the chase. So sometimes we will allow some more mistakes from the chase car if the lead car is not running perfectly up front. So it really goes hand in hand. They're not helping each other out. They're trying to do, in the lead position, a run that is not followable. It's going to be so far out wide on the track with a lot of angle, a lot of speed, that the chase car just can't mimic it. And that chase car is hoping that they can stay close, and it's kind of a give and take all the way through the course that way.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. I'll speak to you later.
All right, thank you.
Louise, thanks very much. Right, before we get into the real heart of this, let's have a look at the course. Let's try and work out where these transition zone and deceleration zones and everything else are. You're on board with Federico Scerifo, the Sheriff, the very spectacular Italian. Now, Steve, is he doing this well or not so well?
Yeah, it looks like he was out into zone 1. He's come out into zone 2. Nice transition across the track. Out into zone 3 here. Across the track. There's the cones for 4. And there's the first cone for 5. All the way out to 5. And there's the starter cone for 6. And there's the finish line just there. Not a bad little run.
So, he's been one of the more dramatic drivers in practice. Now, of course, the track they've been practicing on was bone dry. Now it is wet. And this is our first run. And although we've been talking about the fact that it's in pairs tonight, here's the exceptional, well, actually one of 2 exceptions, because this is Portugal. This is Diego Correia, who should have been up against Mevlud Malaji from Georgia, but his engine has gone bang. So Correia is on his own. So he's effectively through, but he's got to do one run under the regulations, yes?
Yeah, it looks like that's the way they're running it tonight. On some events, you only have to break the start line, so you can roll forward 6 inches and you're through.
Yeah.
But some drivers choose, which I would do in these conditions, drive it, you're going to get a feel of the grip.
True, yeah.
You're through anyway, so get out there, have a little feel, and you can quickly know, right, is the car on point? Do I need to soften it? Make any changes that are easily to do.
Okay. Diego Correia then has done, and we understand everybody's now going to have a warming up lap because of the change in conditions. So everybody goes through one at a time before we then get to the battle.
Yeah, which makes it fair because obviously they've practiced earlier for an hour or so in the dry, and the guys were absolutely smoking the track out, and they were really fast. You couldn't appreciate how fast they were. And if
what's the top speed around here?
Entry speeds, I reckon today were probably 80 kilometres, but then they're accelerating from there.
Yeah.
And they were building momentum. So, you know, we were at 80, 100 kilometres, which doesn't sound a lot. It does when you're looking out the side window.
Well, absolutely, and when you've got somebody else about an inch away from you.
Yeah, and this track's very, very narrow.
It's also quite abrasive. I mean, in a sense, it's good that it's wet now because it's going to help tyres. We were hearing from some drivers that they were chewing through tyres. Latvia goes around and spins there, that being the car that we'll see a little bit later on in the hands of Edmunds Berzins. But in the drive, they were really concerned about tyre life.
Yeah, some of the big horsepower cars, you know, the 600, 700, 800 horsepower cars, were struggling to get 2 laps out of a pair of tyres. So it's, you know, if you've got a battle, you've got to be able to do the 2 laps. So suddenly you've got to try and do some tyre management. You've got to try and dial some grip out of the car, which again you can do with suspension changes, bit of tyre pressure changes, but then you're not as fast. So are you giving away your advantage that you did have? Yeah. So it's, you know, it's that double-edged sword.
We've got a mix, as the cone goes flying, of big beefy BMWs and Japanese cars, good old Toyotas, Nissans. From the outside, yes, you can tell what they are, but under the bonnet, there's a certain amount of freedom of choice, isn't there? You don't have to have in your BMW a BMW engine.
Oh, no, absolutely. A very popular engine is the Toyota 1J, 2J version, straight 6, very tunable. The little SR20, still quite popular, little 2-litre 4-pot. You know, getting 500, 600 horsepower out of those, but they're not that reliable. Whereas, you know, a big 6-cylinder that's 2.5, 2.6, some of them are making them up to 3.1 litres. 600 horsepower is not stressing it. So we do it all day long, every day. And you know you're going to at least finish.
The one thing you won't find on this is a clock. It's not a timed competition, is it? It's about style, it's about angle, it's about fluidity, it is about commitment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be on the line, got to be running as much angle as you possibly can, and it's got to be all smooth and under control. You know, you don't want to see the car check it up and lots of corrections from the steering. You can see the reflection on the car. Drivers who are making lots of corrections, you'll notice the car start twitching about. If there's a lot of smoke, you can sometimes see it on the roof of the car where the car's twitching. Okay. That's how, you know, little input can have such an impact, and the judges are noting all those.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing we see as well, and in a sense, it's good we've got this practice going on now because it gets this out of the way. We can do some of the background, but it's a front brake light as well for the judges' benefit to see when people are braking, in a sense, when they shouldn't be.
Yes, you can. It's just an added thing. Some rules run it, some don't. So you'll see some of these cars have got a front brake light. I believe some haven't. It's not a requirement, but it's there. It does help, definitely, and it looks. You know, it's nice for the drivers. Yeah. It's nice for the spectators. They see, oh look, his front brake lights come on. We know he's on the brakes.
What about tyres? Because, as I understand it, you've got a freedom of what make of tyre you run on. What about the number of tyres you've got for the weekend? And also, are we talking slicks or shredded?
Yeah, it'll be semi-slicks, even in the wet, by most people. Some guys are now using a semi-slick wet, if you like. But it's still got to be an E-marked or a BOT mark, so you haven't got the racer compound. But, you know, these tyre companies, they want to win, so...
So what are we looking at? Hankooks, Yokohamas? Is it
yeah,
mainly
you
Japanese
got Hankooks, Yokohamas, Westlakes, Federals. In some championships, there is quite a tyre war.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because every tyre company wants the champion to be on their tyres.
Fair enough, yeah. Mixed nations as well. Looking at Belarus here. This is the car that will be in the hands for the competition tonight of Dimitri Nagula, national champion back home. For Hungary, here's the BMW of Zoltan Janto.
Yeah, this car looked. I had a little look around this in the pits earlier. I'm sure this car had the driver's seat out. They looked like they were trying to adjust perhaps the pedal box or something up by the dashboard. I couldn't quite get in. I was trying to keep out of their way.
Trying to?
Yeah, I was just trying to keep out of their way, you know, having a look around there.
Couldn't help yourself, could you?
Yeah, couldn't help myself. I want to go down and see some of these cars and get up close wide the chance.
Why not? I mean, they are, in many ways, a work of art. The Portuguese car, particularly, great livery. Now, that would be a really bad score from Hungary, were that in the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you was chasing that, now obviously the chase car would have to stop.
Yeah.
So, because the lead car's impeded him and he can't continue, the chase car would get the advantage there.
Right.
And of course, they scored out of 10, split between the two drivers.
Well, Ryan, judging Ryan, was talking about 100.
Yeah,
so
that's what you've got to do is when you're the lead driver, your aim is to run the qualifying line, which is a 100-point run. So forget the guy that's behind you. This guy now should be trying to run a 100-point run.
Okay.
And in doing so, you know where he's going to be on track, where he's going to transition, where he's going to slow down, and that will make it easier for following. Because you can't have a lead driver going all over the track anywhere. It just doesn't work. You know, you can't follow someone you don't know where they're going. And it makes it fair for everyone. What you will see is someone who does a really, generally the number one qualifier, number one, number two, number three, their lead line's great. And the battle for that, the chase guy can get close and he'll mimic them all the way around the circle. If you get a guy who's scoring really low, 40s and that, he's really hard to follow.
That's Estonia's entry through. 8 of the 16 have done their practice runs. Let's just quickly go back to Louise Beckett, though.
Well, I mentioned earlier there's 3 judges, and they're all with me now. I'm just going to start by speaking with Vernon and asking, so what is it that you're looking at tonight, and what are you going to be marking them on?
Well, the lead car needs to do the 100-point qualification line. So all the zones we just laid out, it has to be all the way in the zone.
Okay, and that's quite different to what you were doing last night. Each of you individually last night had different areas you were looking at.
Yeah, that's correct. Last night we were giving scoring on our individual criteria, but tonight all 3 of us are looking at how well the lead driver and the chase driver are accomplishing their goals and how many compromises they're making, and then we find a winner or they go one more time.
Okay, now these changing conditions we saw last night is going to throw up some curveballs, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be very tricky for both drivers, but now the chaser have even more difficult job because sometimes the leaders are doing different mistakes and they need to adapt their driving to that. So we will see some new things which we did not see yesterday.
Now, if you don't agree on a result and what you've decided or who was better in that run, what happened?
Then the majority overtakes. So if two judges are going for one driver, then the driver wins, or decision like one more time. If all three judges are going different way, then we are going one more time.
Okay, so there's a chance they could be doing another run. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. And I know I'll be speaking to you again, finding out more. So we'll let them finish off with their practice session. Thank you.
One of the most of the smart cars in the entry, this for Switzerland's Yves Meyer, this BMW, which sounds as good as it looks. And that is one of those eat your dinner off it cars. Absolutely immaculate, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the carbon Kevlar. They've called these shells the Eurofighters from the HGK team, and they are spectacular. Yeah. They are absolutely, no money spare. Absolutely no money spare.
For the Czech Republic is Michael Reichert here. Didn't have a spin in practice, but Reichert was pretty spectacular last night in what's possibly because of the colour scheme of the car. It looks like a big BMW. It's no bigger than the one we've just seen, but it looks a big car, but it's a very spectacularly driven one, and Reichert will be one to watch. He got pretty decent scores last night. He was 9th and got one of the better results for Angle in the judging last night.
Yeah, so this is a driver that if you're going to battle and you know he's leading, he's going to have a pretty good line, so you can get close to him and have confidence that he's going to put his car in the right place on the track. When you're against someone who's been a bit offline and has got a mediocre score, you're almost a little bit tentative. You've got to, do I get that close to him, risk going off or taking us both off, or him making a mistake and me crashing into him? It's almost mind games at times, but you've got to have confidence in yourself that you can get close enough to the guy in front, and you've got to trust that he's going to run the correct line.
What should we be looking for in terms of not wanting to see? I mean, on this practice run, Norway have just knocked a cone over, for example. Yeah, is that a no-no when we get to the real competition?
It's not too important. The cones are just there as a visual for the driver, so they're not far enough off circuit. If you knock them, you're actually off track. So if the back bumper just grazes it and knocks it over, it's no problem. If your wheel runs it over, then you're going to have one wheel off there. You're going to get severely marked down. If two wheels off again, you've got a 0.
Now there's Finland good to go for its practice run, or her practice run. Country is being female. Also 93, you've got Benediktas Cherba, and they've got the Hungary and Portugal cars. Well, they're back, so they should be getting ready for their runs now. Here we're under the floodlights. Is this rare? Is this the norm? Is this something very different?
Yeah, floodlights aren't so common. It's getting a little bit more popular because people are realising the spectacle, and it's great. Look how great the cars look. The guys putting extra lights on. Sometimes you get the guys with strobe lights and neon lights just for a bit for the fans. Yeah. It's an easy car to support. Oh, which car am I supporting? That one. He's got all the lights and bells on it. It's a nice spectacle of a night. There's something about it.
But for many of them, this isn't the norm. This is something new.
No, this is something new, and the battle of as you're driving around, you've got the floodlights. You're going from a semi-lit area to a very well-lit area. Your eyeballs go up and stalks, go down. You'll see some of them have changed over to the orange tin visors, sharpens up the vision.
Last night we had them coping with floodlights, coping with the rain as well. I mean, never mind the grip level, it was the visibility was pretty challenging to say the least. This is Lithuania, which I think is going to be the last of our drivers through practice. We should be getting ready for the battle itself now, 20 minutes or so into the competition start time. So apologies for running rather late here at Valladolid. We've had delays in some of the races, which of course have to finish before the track can be allowed out for the drifters, and oh so close to the grass there. Benediktas Cherba for Lithuania.
Yep, nice little sensible run. He's having a little feel of the track. The camera positions that we've got are slightly different. The judges have some extra camera positions than what we've got. So, you might watch this like I did yesterday and go, oh, that's easy, that's this score, and I was miles out. And I had a good chat with Ryan, and he went, well, look, here's some of our camera views, and I was like, how comes we haven't got that? It's like, well, that's why we've got it. And
Yeah.
that's our little...
They're the judges.
They're the
their word
judges.
is final.
Yeah, they need that. We don't need as much as, you know, going from this camera, that camera. They've got so many replays available. And they've got not such as a warm place as we're sitting in, but they have a very good vantage point from up on the top of the building as well.
That's true. Right, so we're ready for the competition itself now, and we know that here Diego Correa is through. All he's got to do is start the run.
Yep, literally, it'll either be just go across the start line and he's through, or he can compete a run.
He's being waved back.
So they may have just put him through.
We know that Mevlud Melaje is going no further, and Correa, having done his practice run, oh, is he changing lanes, possibly? It looks like he's going to put in the alternative. Oh, hello? No.
Yeah, no, he may have chosen.
This is the Sheriff. This is Federico Scerifo, who may not have had a practice run, and therefore we need to get him through.
Get him his practice run.
Talk us through this.
Okay, so off the start line, through the little start chicane, and the idea of that is so that the chase driver can keep up with the lead driver. Oh, a bit of understeer there. You can see the understeer, just how slippery it is there. Which is a good job that Sherifo's having a quick feel of this track. He's got time to make some slight minor adjustments before he comes out. Gets on the handbrake there, uses the damp conditions to take him all the way out to zone 2. You can see the little cones at the side there, and the white box on the floor. There's 3 transitions across the track. Want to make it as smooth as possible. A few errors there, the judges would notice that, and then we're out to zone 5, trying to keep it as smooth as possible. Out to 6. Looks like could be having grip, no grip, with the way he's fighting with the steering wheel there. I'm not so sure that car's as happy in the setup it's got.
Well, this is a new car to him,
It's
and he
a
damaged it
brand
last
new car,
night, so
yes.
he's still learning about it, still feeling about
absolutely.
it. Right, I'll try this again. Here we are, ready for the competition. Here's one we prepared much earlier.
Yep.
Diego Correa just has to start the run, as you say, to go through.
Yep. Yep, so he may have to either just break the start line.
Yeah.
He could do his run, or in some cases, depending on the series, you can say, I don't need to take my run. I've done enough runs. I'll save me tyres.
That's true.
It's wet. I would take the run.
So Mevlud Melaje for Georgia, sadly, with an engine drama, is going no further. That means that this car from Portugal, Diego Correa, is through come what may.
The #1 qualifier.
Indeed so.
I put some money on him earlier to be on the podium.
Well, here we go. He's going to do his run. Let's see
through
how
the
this
start
is.
chicane there. So the start chicane is so when you've got 2 cars together, the lead car can't take off the start line and leave the chase car behind. So off the start line, through the chicane, up to zone 1, fulfill zone 1, all the way across. We want to see a nice transition across the track. The judges have taken into account that with the tricky conditions, that there may be ever so slight straightening going across the track, because just because of the conditions, they're going to have to take that into account. Out to zone 3, out to zone 4, nice and deep. Can he get 5? Yes, he can. Doesn't quite stay in it the whole way, but he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. It's just a practice run. Just a practice run.
So Portugal completes its run, and Diego Correa, then the reigning Portuguese champion, is through to the next round. As we go next to Yves Meyer representing Switzerland, and it should be for the Czech Republic, Michael Reichert. There are the judges who will come up with a number for Correa, but it's sort of irrelevant, but we know that he's gone through. These will be
so what they'll do here is you normally have a slider, and they'll choose which driver it slides across to, as you saw there. It just went off. So rather than go 6-4, 6-5, they vote. What they're going to do is they can compare lead to lead, chase to chase. Well, there's no to compare there, so it automatically goes across. But when we go to battle, the lead driver obviously does his lead lap, chase guy chases him. When they swap round, the judges will compare each lead run to each chase run. Who made mistakes in the lead, who made mistakes in the chase.
Which lane is lead, which lane is chase then?
Okay, as we look at the screen, the car on the right, the lovely HGK car, the HGK car, the BMW, is going to be our lead car. As we get a green flag, as you'll see, he'll go through the chicane, which means the car accelerate forward, gives chance for the chase driver to get close. Doesn't get massively close, but he's going to get up nice and close, needs to get a bit closer, but He's just dropping a wheel ever so slightly there. It's going to possibly mark him down. Transitions across. Cars are very separated. And an inside line is going to absolutely crucify the chase.
So Meyer is the leader, but he's put a wheel up onto the dirt. Michael Reichert there getting it wrong. The Czech Drift Series regular in pursuit of the Swiss driver, who was the runner-up last year in the FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup. They get to the end of the first run. Switzerland leading, Czech Republic chasing. Damage to the back of the Swiss entry from both. That looked a bit scrappy.
Yes, scrappy from both. For me, Reichert made the most mistakes down into zone 2. So he's going to get penalised for that. But when they swap round, now, if Meyer makes the same mistake in that same area, it equals each out.
Yeah.
So, you know, we really need, he needs to do a good chase and not make the same mistakes.
Here's the replay. Talk us through it. Where do the mistakes come then?
So, off we go. Meyer, Reichert, Meyer's out. It's very slippery. He just comes off there.
You can see where the damage is picked up
keeps it together, yeah. Transitions across. Reichert on the chase, and here he dives inside. He shouldn't be anywhere on the inside there. So he is so far offline, the judges will, you know, if he was leading, that's an unchaseable, because he's not on the right part of the track. There is where Meyer picks up the cone, which is right on the edge of the track. The wheels aren't off track, but just the edge of the car is, so he just clipped the cones. The driver's asked for the cones to be brought just slightly closer to the track. Just slightly off view. They like them straight in line of sight.
So let's see what the scores come out with then. So Yves Meyer gets a score that will be revealed in a moment against Michael Reichert.
They may not put their score up until they compare. They're going to compare lead to lead, chase to chase. So we should now see them swap places. Reichert to lead, Meyer to chase. We just await the all clear. We get thumbs up from the drivers. There's one. There's two. We saw drivers seeing each other. We're away. Reichert to lead, Meyer to chase. Well, Meyer's a little bit closer. Nice initiation from both drivers. Reichert out into zone 1. Meyer out there with him. Slightly better proximity. Nothing too exciting, but he's there.
Yeah.
So this is where the big mistake went in the previous run. Meyer hasn't made that mistake. He isn't fully out in the zone, but he's much further out. And there's the understeer and a bit of contact. This could throw it into a one more time. It could equal each other out there, but it's how the judges are going to deem it, how much of a fault. It's a bit of another scrappy run, but in these conditions, the guys have been in dry for practice, you know, and they've done probably 10 runs each.
Will a driver know at the end of the run whether he's done a good job, or is it always a bit of a surprise when the results come out? Do you get a feeling as you cross the line, you think,
you generally know the mistakes you've made, but you can, you know, your spotter should be telling you on the radio. So Reichert out front, Meyer to chase, as we just watched this one again. Good initiation from both. Reasonable proximity, it's okay, pretty good for this weather conditions. Just drops back a little bit here for the transition, right out front. Meyer a little bit drops inside there and comes away from zone 2. This is where he makes his bit of a mistake. Car grips up, gives him a nudge.
Is contact a real no?
It is to a degree. If you're the chase car and you nudge the lead car and you affect his line, that's a big no. If you push him off track, that's a big no.
Sure.
If you're after the finish line, this sort of a bit
nudge.
A little mate, have some of that. It can be a little bit of a dig between drivers.
Right, thoughts? Who's going to come out on top?
I wouldn't like to call that.
Okay.
I think the judges have got some better views than us, and it looks like it's gone Reichert's way. That'll be the understeer and the contact, no doubt.
So the Czech Republic then goes through and will face Portugal. So Michael Reichert progresses into the next round. We turn our attention next to Hungary versus Russia. For Hungary it is Zoltán Janto, and for Russia it is Ilya Fedorov. Russia has had good pace in the GT race today, while the touring car race, so as a nation, could be looking good for medals come the end of this.
Yeah, a bit of extra pressure on his shoulders now. As we just await for a bit of thumbs up from the drivers. Start line marshal needing to know that any debris that could have been out on track there, just quickly check, make sure the track's clear. Last thing you want to do is come around and find a bumper in front of you.
Or a cone in the middle of the road.
Or a cone in the middle of the track. We saw a few of them killed yesterday.
Now, yesterday, Fedorov was 4th in the points, 13th was Zoltan Janto. That, again, is the single car at a time. So, are we expecting Russia to be the better nation in this battle here?
On yesterday's, yes.
However.
Yeah, or however, it could go either way, really.
Right, so Russia will lead. So Ilya Fedorov, it is the blast away.
Yeah, into the first outside zone. And as you can see, Zanto trying to get up close, but drops out of the zone. And now it's made him drop back as he's trying to get back in the zone. Lost that proximity, he's dropped well away, transitioned far too early. And now he's all out of shape and it's going to go so wrong. He saved it, but it's a half spin that could end up as an incomplete. It's a massive advantage to the lead driver.
Fedorov, 4 times a Russian drift champion, knows what he's doing. And in the Nissan Silvia, heads up towards the end of the run. Still penduluming along behind him is Hungarian Zoltan Zanto, and that is certainly scrappy on his part. Decent run by Fedorov for Russia.
Yeah, you see, the problem's going to be is when they swap places, how do you follow?
Yeah.
If that was the, if he does that same chase run as a lead run, the chase car now can't follow it. You've got to be able to follow and trust the lead car. Here, you see, Zanto gets right up and then makes the mistake and drops back, and then panic sets in. And you can see him try and pedal the car, transitions a little bit too early, throws him offline, and there it goes.
That's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's thrown him offline.
Yeah.
You couldn't follow that. If you were trying to follow that and you went out to zone 2, he'd be in your way.
Sure. Then he's off the road there, as he transitions on that straight. So it rather looks as though Ilya Fedorov for Russia is going to go through.
Well, they've got to swap places,
yeah.
He's got a very good advantage.
That was a good run. He did better last night. The evidence would stack up his way. So
yes.
We'll see. Zoltan Janto then now will be the leader. He's a regular in the European, the Adriatic and the Czech championships, but didn't score brilliantly last night. Now the pressure is on because he's got to try and salvage this on this what could be last run.
Yeah, but you see, now he's leading. Forget about what you try to do is forget about the chase driver, and you just concentrate on, right, I've got to go flat out, fast as I can, and hit all the clips, and let the chase driver make all the mistakes. And they can hand it back to you because they're so confident. His spotter might have said, you've got a massive advantage, you don't need to push him too hard. And they drop back, and suddenly you've got a big distance and it can be an incomplete. So
we're in business then. Hungary will lead, so Zoltan Janto will go ahead. Ilya Fedorov for Russia, looking good, and there,
that's
out wide from Hungary.
Right out wide, definitely 1 wheel off, possibly 2. That'll be down to the judges to have a good look on their cameras. But the Russian man making a little bit of mistake, transitioning a bit too early, has come well away from zone 2. He's kept it together, but it's scrappy. Oh, he's giving away points. No, he's just giving it. He's giving the advantage away that he had.
And they stayed together perhaps better than on the first run when Hungary was the chaser. There, to the end of the run they go, but again, it's going to be interesting to see what the judges offer.
It's going to be interesting because, as you see, off the start line, here we go, straight into initiation. There, both cars initiate. Okay, nothing too spectacular, but it's seriously, that's definitely 1 wheel off, possibly 2. If it's 2, it's a 0. It's 1 wheel off again. There for our lead man. And then it gets all scrappy, as it has done so much down in zone 2. Just dives in, and he's so far on the wrong line. And it's like trying to go around a corner like it's a 50 pence, and it needs to be smooth, You can't diagonal across, it doesn't work. Both drivers out of zone 5, so they both will lose for that.
Who's your money on?
The Russian.
Okay.
I'm going for Russia.
All right. No, I wouldn't argue with that, given what we have seen tonight and last night.
Yeah.
So the judges,
just from our views and what we've seen, I would go for the Russian man. Is the other man I've got on money on the podium.
Oh, I see.
So I'm favouring.
Money on both of them, I think. Yeah. Right. So they have a quick conflab. Scores will be evinced in a moment.
Yeah. They'll be comparing lead to lead, chase to chase. You know, when this guy led, he made these mistakes here. What are we going to get? Ilya Fedorov.
There you go. So Russia progresses. And even though he's knocked out of the competition, Zoltan Janto says well done. Very spectacular crash helmet for Fedorov. So Russia will face then the Norwegian entry because Odd-Helge Hellstadt should be on his own in the next run. His rival Daniel Brander with a gearbox problem, yes?
Yes, unfortunately Daniel Brander with his big V8 that's I believe 1,000 horsepower or just over has been running a BMW diesel gearbox, and it didn't like all the horsepower that went through it, and it said, I've had enough, thanks very much.
Looks up to bits.
Yeah, absolutely disintegrated.
Right.
So I don't think it's got even any gears whatsoever left. It really has destroyed itself.
Oh dear. Right, so Fedorov is through. He will face this man. So you've got Russia going against Norway in the next round. Let's get Norway through. He says optimistically because the car ain't for moving at the moment. Right, thumbs up. So the judge will wave him away. So Odd-Helge Hellstadt just has to complete a run here. Former Norwegian champion in his junior days. And then when he grew up, he went into the senior competition and he won in that as well.
Yeah, very good, accomplished pilot. Very smooth. Not too sure he's too keen on the weather conditions being changing. You know, they've gone from dry to wet and patchy. And
it's drying out again.
I think some of the drivers are going to end up, if they all go on the same line, they'll end up with a dry line, which is great because that's the line you should all be on. But if you then deviate off that line, you suddenly find you can be in a world of trouble.
Hellstadt last night was 5th in the points. Now he will go against Fedorov, who was 4th. So their next battle in the quarterfinals is going to be well worth watching, isn't it?
Yeah, that should be a good battle because they're both high up, so they should be able to trust each other and go, right, I know he's going to put a good score in, he's going to put a good score in, I can trust him, he runs a good line, I haven't got to stay back because he's going to be all over the place, basically. So yeah, the battles get better and better generally.
Well, there's the confirmation that Odd-Helge Hellstadt will go through.
Yeah, poor old Daniel's out.
Yeah, he's already planning the trip home, but hopefully will stay for tomorrow's closing ceremony, and indeed tonight to cheer on his rivals. So now we go to the other 8 from the top 16, and we're going to see Benediktas Čerba for the Lithuanian nation taking off Belarus's Dmitry Nagula in the next run. Benediktas Čerba's BMW. The caption says Nagula, it's Nagula if you look at the car, Dmitry Nagula with his Nissan. And here they go, and the lead this time is going to be Čerba in the BMW.
Yep, so Čerba out front, and we know he is a master when it comes to twin battles, but nothing from Nagula, he's there, he's going to stay with him, not massively close, tricky conditions, so we're not expecting too much, we're not going to get too excited until I see some really exciting stuff. Čerba's got to get his off, he's off that, definitely one wheel off, possibly 2. Which then balked the chase driver. So the mistake that the chase driver has done there, Nagula, it's not his fault, so he won't be marked down for that. But then after that,
Čerba's got a cone under the car as well. You don't get bonus points for bringing a cone back.
You don't. No,
lots of smoke. That proves the road is drying out as well. But Čerba, messy.
Yes, made that mistake. Down in zone 2 again.
Yeah, and that corner last night was the bogey corner for everybody. Here's the replay of the run. Now have a look at Benediktas Čerba as the leader, because the European Series regular being chased by multiple Belarusian national champion Dmitry Nagula. That in the race circuit is turn 10. This is turn 11, which has been a real nightmare for the drifters all weekend, and it carries on tonight. Look, I reckon that's 2 wheels off for Čerba.
That could well be 2 wheels off, you know.
So what does that do? 0?
That gives him a 0.
Right.
Yeah, that gives him an incomplete, as we call it, because he hasn't completed the run because he's gone off track. From there, it looked like 2 wheels off. The judges, are no doubt, will be scrutineering that. They've got a camera just above on that corner.
Okay.
So you see the cars coming towards you, and you can see the whole of that corner.
Wish I bought shares in traffic codes, because they're getting through those with the
Yeah, wouldn't you like to be the supplier here?
Absolutely, yeah. Charging more and more and more each run. Right, scores are almost in. And the cars swap over before we get to the final calculations from the judges. So now Nagula will lead, and Čerba has to chase. Nissan versus BMW. Belarus leads, and it's going to be Lithuania that chases.
Yeah, it looks like they're just having a quick check at the back of the car. They're going to try and get that cone out, I think. It's probably very wedged under there. You do well to get that under there. Leave it.
It was his fault, he picked it up.
Yeah, he picked it up. Let him keep it. Take that home.
Exactly.
Probably melted to all the exhaust and
yes,
everything, and all sorts. Probably stinks like you can't imagine in there.
Right, stop there. Let me have a go, says the mechanic.
Yeah, it's under there somewhere. I'm not so sure I'd want to be rolling around the floor trying to pull a cone out right about now. At least it seems to have stopped raining.
True,
Starting to see some
we are getting smoke, aren't we?
And if it dries out, let me tell you, from watching earlier in practice, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. You will not believe how fast these cars are and how close they were to each other.
This is Federico Sherifo's view. He's waiting for his next run. He'll go against the Latvian car.
Yeah, so while you're sitting there, you know, you're trying to keep yourself calm. Just shuts his engine down. Not going to leave it running. Save fuel, save tyres. Just sit there. He's going to chill out, put the radio on. Of course, he hasn't got a radio in there, but, you know, just sit there and no point rushing up to the start line when you can't go.
So the delay is because of this infernal cone. Of all the things to delay matters yet further, it's a bit of plastic, but they can't get it out from underneath the car. I mean, you would perhaps just say, well, it's your problem. Go with it, wouldn't you?
If I was the driver, I'd say leave it. You know, if you ask me, I would just say leave the cone there.
Yeah.
You know, if I was the driver, I'd say no, it's not affecting me. Leave it.
Yeah.
But he may want it removed,
Well, now I think
or the officials may want it removed.
Yeah. Try and drive over the curb, see if that dislodges it.
Yeah.
But you can see the officials trying to dislodge the cone, but it's well and truly stuck fast.
He's thinking about, you're not going to lift that car there. He's going to lift it maybe on the side of the roll cage.
But for the sake of a plastic cone, you just say, well, get on with it, wouldn't you? Anyway, clearly not, because the officials want it shifting. Does it impede you?
It can do, depending on where it's lodged.
Right.
It can do. You know, if it's tucked in between moving suspension parts, then, you know, it can cause you a bit of a problem.
It's nearly done. Nearly there. Now, stand on the cone, see if you can rock the car off it. Drag it down from underneath. Here we go.
Go on, lads. Who's had their Weetabix
Yeah,
today?
exactly.
No, we're going to hold it and try and get him to drive away. Hold it with your foot. Hope that the wheel grips it and pulls it out the back and doesn't break any of your toes.
There you go.
There we go. And look at that. It looks like it survived as well.
No, they've wrenched it out. Yep. All good. Thank you very much. So
They may actually want that cone to put back.
still running out.
Because they're running out and it might need to go back to the visual for the clipping point.
No, that's true.
So, or the clipping zone that we have.
Right then. The cone's hotline is satisfied. And we are good to go. Lithuania then will chase, and Dimitri Nagula for Belarus will lead. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Green flag. Releases them. We're in business.
Okay, away we go. Leglia up front, Sherbert a chase. Just hanging just there, gently back there, but look, nice and close. Jump straight on the side of him. Lovely and close. Out to that zone, but lead driver comes off. Chase driver mimics him and comes off. One wheel off four. Naglia up front there. Sherbert chasing him in. He's got to stay out. He's got it.
He's lost it.
He's thrown it away, and that's going to be an incomplete. Absolutely.
So, Benedict S. Cherba makes a right hash of it, and last night, having been second in the points, you put your money on him going through. Nagula yesterday in the qualifying that got us to this point didn't do quite so well, but it looks like he's in the box seats. He was only 15th in the points, whereas Cherba was second.
You see, it's all to play for in these tricky conditions.
Absolutely right. Here's another look at it. So it started off okay, didn't it, for Lithuania? But it was again at that bogey turn 11 where it all went wrong.
Yep, out of zone 2 was the killer. As you see here, both drivers out into zone 1. Lead driver comes out just ever so early. No problem. Cherba matches him, comes out early. And as we go for the transition across here, this is where the dampness has just stayed. Did it yesterday. Cherba's into a little bit of a spin now. No real brake lights, you know, massively on that you could see from the lead car from an impediment. Front brake light wasn't on, so I'd be tempted, from my view here, I would blame that on the chase driver.
All right, well, let's see where the judges put the result. They say it's Nagula that will go through, so Dimitri Nagula will progress. That means that Belarus goes through, and out of the competition then is Lithuania. Latvia here takes on Italy. For Latvia, you've got Edmunds Bazins, this year's Latvian champion. For Italy, in the Toyota GT86 is the Sheriff, Federico Scerifo. 15 years a drifter, vastly experienced, and boy, was he spectacular last night.
Yeah, he's had quite a few offs and quite a few offs in practice. Some Formula Drift driver tends to use a lot of front brakes. He does a lot of left foot braking, slows the car down quite a bit, but a lot different styles with drivers using left foot braking or feathering it on the throttle. You can stabilise the car with a bit of left foot braking, but for me there, it was a scrappy run from both drivers. But the chase driver, you'll see, zone 1, miles on the inside of the track. Scerifo was out in the right area.
For what it's worth, Scerifo did not look that quick, and therefore that relative lack of speed seemed to compromise Latvia. Yeah,
it could be a slight problem, but he leaves the gap there. Sheriff throws it in, and he straight away, look, left foot braking, slows the car down, but already Chase Man is so far on the inside line there.
But he's caught him.
But he's now caught him, so he's got his proximity back, but he needs to stay with the proximity, which he does to here.
But coming out of the corner, look how slow Italy is, so he's almost overtaking him.
Hasn't got a massive forward amount of grip there.
No. There's not a lot Latvia can do, though. He can't overtake.
You've got to stay behind that lead driver. But no brake lights on, so he's not heavily braking. Not all cars come out of the corners and accelerate as well as others. And that's where your spotter needs to tell you, OK, coming out of clip 2, this driver, he's so slow. Don't get right on him here. Drop out as you come into clip 2.
So now the Sheriff will chase.
Yep, it's a swap round.
So Federico Scerifo, the Italian in that very smart Toyota, repaired after a bit of an off in practice last night, took the rear balance off the car. Edmunds Bazin's older BMW. It's not quite as smart, but it's certainly an effective car, that, and that is ready to go as well.
Yeah, it'll have all the right bits underneath it, that's for sure. And it looks like it's just starting to rain. Away we go, Bazin's to lead, the Sheriff to chase. The Sheriff's thereabouts, not as close, but...
Got a sideways to that.
Yeah, and he's not fulfilling that out of zone. The lead driver's
That's 2 wheels off.
That's 2 wheels off, so we could go again with these guys. But in comes charging the Sheriff, completely on the wrong line, in a part of the track that no man wants to be. Maybe the sat-nav sent him there, but and again he's come off of clip 5, and he's on the inner curve, massively on the wrong line for Scerifo there.
So the Sheriff has had his progress arrested, rather, and the pace drops away. So it's going to be interesting to see how the judges score this.
Yeah, this is going to be, they're going to look lead to lead, chase to chase, and compare the mistakes and whose mistakes were greatest. You total them up, and you just go, well, that's a humongous mistake. This is only a minor mistake, but here we go. Here,
sideways,
ready?
1 off, 2 off.
That's 2 off. So right there.
So that's bad for them. Here's Italy up the inside. Look, his nose is in front. He's overtaking him effectively.
It's massively the wrong line. Scerifo should have dropped right back there because he already had that battle won. Once the lead driver spins or makes an off, goes off course, you've won the battle. So he could have played it a little bit cooler. There was no need to dive.
Now this is the onboard of that view. So from the front of the Sheriff's Toyota, this is Federico Scerifo as the chaser. Let's have a look at how this all pans out.
Benson's on the outside zone. Don't forget, we are on the front of his car, so it may not seem we're in the zone, but the car's 12 foot behind him. And here he dives up the inside, over the inside of the curb. Our other car should appear so far offline, so far off of clip 3. Clip 4, transitions early. Because he transitioned early at 4, there you go again, he's way off 5. So, up until, outside zone 1, lead car goes off. Scerifo gets the advantage. Normally, here we go. We're going to have a split decision by the looks of it. So, I'm guessing that's going to one more time because we've got the... Yeah, I'd say they stayed in the middle, so it hasn't gone left, it hasn't gone right. So, yeah, that will be a one more time. Again, a lead and a chase. Both making such massive mistakes that, one's gone off, one's just made an absolute hash of it. What else can you do? You've got to run them again. So, you've got one judge has gone for one driver, and the other 2 judges have said, no, we want to see this again. And that's how it works with the 3 judges. Yeah, 3 judges, you can have a split. You can have 2 go one way. You can even have 1 for 1, 1 as a rerun, 1 as another one. So.
Now the next run will be here, Finland of Juha Putalakso and Q8 Ali Mahsid. The Finn is going to be the leader, Q8 will chase, and Juha Putalakso, the 30-year-old Drift Masters European Championship regular, this year's Iron Drift King winner, one of the drivers expected to be on the podium at the end. He's not that sideways, but the Finn as the leader is looking good here.
Yeah, great lead line so far at the moment. I'm not too sure why there was red flag wave just there, which is why Pointalaxo would have slowed down. There was a marshal just on the edge of the track waving a red flag. Pointalaxo did the right thing, come out of drift, so definitely not going to be his fault for that. I'm guessing there's something on the track, or well, to be honest, I don't know, but there was a marshal waving a red flag there.
Yeah.
Pointalaxo saw it, bang, came out of drift and just cruised back. So he's done exactly the right thing.
Well, there are the marshals at turn 11. They're on the radio, but for some reason the red flag was out.
Yeah. So we're going to see it again. Pointalaxo out front. We know he's a very consistent, smooth, good driver. You can trust him. Get up on him. Not running as much angle in the chase position, but he's got relatively good proximity. Closes in here. You can just see he has to pull the handbrake, rear wheels lock up, transitions across the track. Pointalaxo in the right place, but there's the red flag. He sees it, and there you go, straight away. He's done exactly the right thing as a driver. You see the red flag, you've got to come out.
Now, why would a run be red flagged like that?
Normally, if something's on the track, can sometimes be something's blown onto the track, you know, a carrier bag or something. Because these guys, some of them run open turbos. You don't want a bit of debris going in. Could be a tin can someone's thrown out there. Just a bit of debris. Or it could even be if the driver's caught a cone as he's left the start line, where he has to go through a little chicane. If he knocks a cone over, it can be a restart. If the lead driver jumps the start before the green flag goes down, that could be. So let's have a little look. Do we get a cone knocked down?
So it's something about...
There we go. Just it's the first one on the right-hand side as you go through the chicane. Just looks like he knocked over. So
he's grazed a cone.
Grazed the cone, knocked a cone over, which of course means he's taking a shortcut. You need to go through the chicane so you don't gain an advantage. If you knock the cone over, it means you've took a slight edge off of that corner.
Okay, now does he get a penalty for that?
Yep, you can only do that twice.
Right. So that was you.
So if he was to jump start now, or knock cones over, it'd be in big trouble. Yeah, you can only make the mistake twice. And I think it's the 2 and the 3rd one, he's out. He's out. So
that run will go again. Juha Putalakso as the leader, Ali Mahsid as the chaser. Thumbs up. Rain still in the lights, and now Pointalaxo needs to be careful with those cones. He comes through the chicane.
Yeah, looks like that one's up. Pointalaxo out front.
Right, he's got to be really good this time, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got to do exactly the same as he just did, because he was doing really well. Getting a bit of a drive, not so far out into the zone there, but chase driver is out there with him. Transitions across both drivers, relatively smooth transitions out into zone 2. This is where we know all the grip goes, and it's got the rain has come down. It's just that little bit of drizzle, and that corner, it becomes an ice rink.
So that was Ali Mahsid, the Q80 multiple champion, getting it wrong, and so he chases, but a long way back now. Pointalaxo looking good here.
Yeah, he got a massive advantage, because that will be an incomplete for Mahsid, because he's gone off, put 2 wheels off. Yeah. That's it. So Pointalaxo with a massive advantage. He says, come out of the gate, no cones locked over this time, none injured. Away we go, both in his shape. Lovely initiation from Pointalaxo. Doesn't quite get out deep at first, but then gets in, comes out, doesn't stay in that zone, as you can see by that white line. And here is where it goes wrong for the chase driver. There's no grip there, and off he goes. We saw this yesterday. You know, the rain comes down, and just for some reason, that corner is an absolute demon. It takes people off.
Now, you used the phrase last night in practice. You said there's no mugs here. As in, these are all at the top of their game from their nationalities. And yet the number of errors we've seen tonight and last night, amazing.
Shows you how tricky the conditions are. Shows you, you know, the track, you might look at it and go, oh, it's only a little bit damp. But you can see the difference in grip in places because they're getting smoke around zone 1. The transition across the track, and that area is damp. And there's just no grip there whatsoever.
Right, we'll go again, but this time, of course, its lanes change. So Ali Maksid for Q8 becomes the leader, and Juha Pytälakso for Finland becomes the chaser. And the Q80 BMW then, he was entered in a Nissan initially, but the BMW M3 for Ali Maksid, double Q8 King of Drift champion. Let's see what he can do as the leader.
Yeah, we know Pytälakso is a great chaser, so expect him to get up close and personal. Well, he's not right out in zone 1, he's Maksid, but Pytälakso's there. He's running a little bit closer. Nice transition for both drivers. Now into the very, very slippery zone. Keeps it on track. A little bit of an error for Pytälakso, but he's got proximity. He's not miles behind, he's not massively close, but he's got the proximity so he can come slightly offline to stay there. Maksid just pulls a little bit on him through zones 3, 4 and out to 5, but Pytälakso's back there with him for the finish line, which is, as we see, a bit of smoke from that area.
It's drying out there, isn't it?
It's dry. They're getting grip in that area. I'm just wondering if there's a different tarmac used, you know, a repair area perhaps that might have happened there.
Left foot braking for Pytälakso as he goes into that first corner.
Yeah, just using that to control the car as he's getting close and personal to Maksid. You see both cars transition out to zone 2, sorry, excuse me. And you can just see the cars are off throttle there because there's no grip. And then here comes the start of getting the smoke. One wheel off there for Maksid from Pytälakso, keeping it sensible behind.
So what do we think? Is it Finland? Is it Q8? The judges say Finland, Finland, Finland. Unanimously, Juha Pytälakso goes through. Right, there they are.
And he'll be chuffed with that, especially in these conditions. You know, from going from such a dry session earlier when all the guys were absolutely on it, would have been spectacular in the dry because the track was so fast.
Now this is going to be Estonia taking on the Ukrainian entry. So you've got the car of Dmitry Ilyuk for the Ukraine, who is going to lead. The chaser is going to be Aio Vaida for Estonia. Dmitry Ilyuk with his Nissan 200, former drag racer, rally driver, and a Drift Kings International star, one in Hungary, and he's going to go up against Vaida, who is a regular in his national championship, the Estonian. What you've got to say is a rather standard-looking BMW, but it's well driven.
Yeah, and he'll have all the right bits underneath it. Ilyuk is an all-or-nothing driver. He's one of them. We saw it yesterday. He really just throws caution to the wind. It either works or it doesn't work. Yeah. He's come off of zone 1 there, but Vaida is chasing him down. He's got relative good proximity, transitions across. This is where so many of them make mistakes. And there we go. Look, big error in the chase there. He was committed, and there was no grip, and it just washed him out.
But look at the rain. That is really back with a vengeance. This is the wettest run yet. So for the Ukraine, Ilyuk gets very sideways up through this 12-13 turn section of the full racetrack. Estonia, Aio Vaida doing the chasing on this run. And that, because of the conditions, didn't look the best. But I mean, there, as they left the line, didn't look that bad. But 2 corners in, horrendous.
You can see the rain on the screen there coming down. Maybe just that side of the track is getting that much more. You know, maybe that's just the way the rain's coming across the track. But as you see across here, you listen to the engine though. I'll stop talking and they're off throttle. You know, it's off throttle. And then trying to get back on it to get some grip because there is no grip there. It is an absolute ice rink in that corner. It's wet as anything here, but then again, just here, Ilyuk gets some smoke going.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering whether there's a different mix of the tarmac.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been laid at the same time, but is there a slight different mix in it?
Ilyuk last night was 6th in the points. Estonia's Aio Vaida was only 11th, so you'd expect the Ukrainian driver to go through, but they now reverse. So Ilyuk will chase and Estonia's Aio Vaida will lead. we've still, of course, got to have this extra runs between the Sheriff for Italy and Latvian Edmunds Berzins. But we'll get to that in a moment. There you can see in the background the Sheriff is on his way. As up to the line come Ukraine and Estonia. It's been a rather leisurely lap round for their alternative run.
Yeah, well, they're not allowed to speed on the way around. They've got to keep speeds down. It isn't a massively long way round, but you can also use it to, you know, just think a little bit. Go that little bit slower down. You can psych the other guy out. Make him get to the start line. Make him sit there. But they came back together. So Vader to lead, Iliuk to chase. Again, I'm saying it's all, if it goes wrong, it's going to be in zone 2.
All right, well, here we go then. The green flag drops. The BMW doesn't exactly rocket away. In fact, Iliuk virtually has to wait for it. Now he accelerates away. So, again, it looks like it's advantage Nissan, but let's see, because now the worsening weather might catch them out. Iliuk very sideways through that first corner. Now they have to transition. Certainly one wheel off from Estonia. Cones go flying down now towards the second corner. Yeah,
and here comes Iliuk. He knows there's no grip there, plays it sensible. He may be well aware, Spotter may have told him how much of a mistake was when he was leading. He's got a good advantage, and he may just be going, give us a slightly mistake. He's still there, he's got relative proximity, just drops off a little bit here through 5 and 6, but he's not that far away. So, yeah.
Iliuk last night was the better of the two in terms of points.
Yes.
The replay.
Yeah. As you can see there, Iliuk left the line just a little bit before the green flag. The chase driver is allowed to do that because, again, it's to stop the lead driver getting the jump. So the lead driver must wait for the green flag. But saying that, you can't jump it massively. You know, maybe a second is all you can do.
The trouble was the leader wasn't that quick away anyway, was it? So who is going to get it? It's Iliuk. All three judges say that the Ukraine will go through. So Dmitry Iliuk progresses to the next round of the competition, but we don't yet know who is going to go against Belarus, do we? Because we still need to sort out Sherifo and Berzins, Italy and Latvia, and there they are once more.
Yep, back to the start line. Berzins and the Sheriff.
I do like the Sheriff's overalls.
Yeah, pretty cool, aren't they? With the old tyre.
Right. Both, the reason we got this again, just to recap, was because they were both scrappy on lead and chase runs.
Yeah, both making massive mistakes, and you know, when it's that scrappy, sometimes the fairest thing to do with the judges, they'll go, look, they're both making so many mistakes. Yeah. You know, we'll be here all night saying he did this one little bit, he did that. Let's run them again, and it makes it fair for everyone. But it is absolutely pouring down now. So the Sheriff out front.
They're on this semi-treaded tyre, aren't they, as well, which now will have to work overtime in these wet conditions.
Yeah, they'll be changing suspension settings, tyre pressures. Not so much left foot braking there from the Sheriff. They say just the front brake lights going, drops out of zone 2. Not so brilliant, but out to 4, out to 5. This is a good lead from the Sheriff at the moment. Not too shabby a chase, to be fair.
No, it's good, isn't it?
A couple of mistakes, but nothing.
Looks better than it did the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that both drivers have gone back and gone, right, as we've got to go again, change some settings in the car, change tyres, maybe change tyre pressures.
So now they will swap over again. So for Latvia, Berzins will be the leader and Federico Sherifo for Italy will do the chasing.
Yeah, Berzins makes some good ground. There's quite a bit of a distance, but if you watch, he starts catching him up. Starts making some inroads. There's a bit of a distance, but by the end, because the Sherifo makes this mistake here, Berzins starts reeling him in and reeling him in and reeling him in. Can come offline ever so slightly to get a bit closer, and the gap has come down. Not massively, but it's come down, and here he's there with him. Look, bang, caught him up.
So Berzins looking good on that run.
Looking good because he's being aggressive and making inroads on the lead driver.
So the Toyota of Italian Federico Sherifo on home wet soil is now going to do the chasing. That car run by FFF Racing Team, which is busy here this weekend in the GT Cup as well, representing Japan, actually running the Japanese team's car. But the FFF Racing Team, which runs mainly in GT racing, but also in Lamborghini Super Trofeo in Europe and in Asia, has this drift program as well. It's a very busy team run by Andrea Caldarelli for Fusong Yang, and there now the green flag drops, and for Latvia, Edmunds Bergins will be the leader, and the Sheriff will chase.
Yep, can the Sheriff hunt him down? He's right there alongside him, both out to zone 1. Sheriff not running at as much angle there, but then he gets it on. Relatively good proximity. Not massively that I'm not going to get too excited about, because they are, you know, they are separated. I know people want me to get all excited and scream and shout, but I'll save that for some real close stuff. Sheriff making a couple of little mistakes there in the chase. Berzins, yeah, a half decent run, no real shakes. Out to 4, can he get to 5? He does. Sheriff drops back a little bit and goes on the inside there. He's done that quite a bit. That could cost him.
He's also got the rain getting heavier and heavier to cope with,
yep.
but we'll now see what the judges think. They've had lots of opportunities now to assess as lead and chase, because these two have done twice rather than once each.
Yep, Berzin's out front, so we're looking for him. He needs to run a good qualifying line, so he wants to be out in the zone. So he is out in the zone. Sheriff's out in the zones with him, not running as much angle at first, but then he gets a bit more angle on it. Berzin's just pulls a little bit away, but in comes the Sheriff. And this is where Sheriff makes the mistake he's made a couple of times. He just checks up there. Look, there you go. Oh, just checks up. It's enough to unsettle the car. The judges are going to notice that because it's a correction. Transitions across, transitions back. Berzin's out to 5. The Sheriff is on the inside there. Look, right on the inside of the track. You can see it. And then comes out for 6. And even with shortcutting the track, he didn't catch Berzins through there.
Here's the replay on board with the Sheriff. So Federico Scerifo, this will be the run as the chaser.
Yep,
so you see how close he is to the leader.
Yep.
Throws it sideways. Now just look at all the armour twirling that goes on. This, in the wet, under the floodlights, with all the contrasting illumination, this is absolutely precision stuff.
Yeah, it shows you exactly what the drivers are up against. You know, the rain's pouring down, it's coming in your side windows, which haven't got wipers on, which you do look out of. You know, you've got your wipers on full, you're fighting for grip, and you need to see what the driver in front is doing and adjust to it.
So what do you reckon? Is it Italy? Is it Latvia? The judges say through will go. Oh no. Not again.
Well, if they're staying in the middle, maybe it's a one more time.
We're going to have to go again.
Have to go again.
This is the one that nobody's going to win, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Sheriff looks and says, I don't believe it. Not again.
Yeah, he looks almost despondent there. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no.
So it'll be 2 more runs for these two, again as a lead and as a chase.
Maybe just getting told there, you know, it's a one more time. He was saying, oh no, I won. You know, the drivers, you always think you won even when you've made mistakes, because, you know, you're in the zone, you think, like, I'm on it, I'm having this.
Well,
so we will see them again.
We will, but in the meantime, we are ready for our first of the quarterfinals now, because Portugal is about to take on here the Czech Republic. So you've got Bruno Correa about to go against Michael Reichert. This is the first. We haven't actually got all of our quarterfinalists determined, but we're into the quarterfinals, perversely.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, you know, if you get one more time, you have to allow the drivers, if they wish to go and change their tyres. Sometimes they go, no, we're all right in these conditions, I'll just run again. If both drivers are okay with that, they'll run. Sometimes, you know, you wait for one driver, they'll ask one driver, and he'll go, what's he doing? If he's changing tyres, I'm changing tyres.
So, Portugal, this is the first time Diogo Manuel Dias Correa has gone up against anybody tonight, because he got his bye effectively through to this. You can see how bad the rain is. It's absolutely bouncing off the ground as Michael Reichert, the Czech Drift Series and Drift Masters Europe regular, is prepared against him.
One thing we know is Correa, in all his runs, has been on the perfect line every time.
Yeah.
Practice in the dry, he was absolutely on it. In the wet, he was the master. So, you know, but Reichert is a very accomplished driver. He's a very good chase driver. This could be, if we're going to run them, or maybe the one more time, both drivers might have said they'll go straight away.
Yeah.
And maybe they're going to bring them up. Well, we're definitely pulling these two off the line. But I was saying, Reichert is a very, very good chase driver.
Okay.
And when you know that the lead driver's #1 qualifier, he's on the right line, I can get up close and personal.
Yeah.
So I would expect this to be, you know, a lot closer than we saw in the sheriff's car. And if you can imagine that he's going to be another 2 or 3 foot closer.
There's the rain bouncing off the ground.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is horrible now.
Yeah,
isn't it,
downpour.
for everybody?
And of course the problems could arise now that if we start getting puddles forming on the line, which affect the drivers, you know, it can pull almost the steering wheel out of your hand.
Let's have a word with the judges. They are trying to get to a result between Italy and Latvia, and Louise is keeping dry with them.
Yes, and with David. Now, can you just tell us what's happening at this point?
Oh, at this point we called one more time for the last battle because one driver was capable of winning the lead part. The second driver was capable of winning the chase part. So we needed to call one more time. So now we need to wait for one of the drivers who needs to change the tires. The other driver also wants to change the tires. So now we are waiting that we can close top 16 and go forward to top 8.
Okay, so does that happen very often, that you have to have a third runoff?
Sometimes it happens, especially in conditions like that when we see a lot of mistakes and then we are having no possibility then to call one more time.
Okay, so we're going to wait for those to come out and run before we get on to the next section of the qualifying.
Exactly, it's like you said.
Okay, right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. That all makes sense now. So you've got to effectively close the top 16 down before you can get into those quarterfinals. You can't start the quarterfinals without the final quarterfinalist.
Yeah, it sort of throws it a bit out of sync, if you like. But as we were saying earlier, you know, they're comparing lead to lead, chase to chase, and if when the leads are compared, one driver wins the lead and the opposite driver wins the chase.
Yeah.
The only fair way is you've got to make them run again.
Sure. Well, they're certainly getting value for money. They might need to refuel as well at this rate.
They're probably going to need to refuel. We did have a car actually yesterday in practice run out of fuel, and he was a bit surprised. I think he was doing so many laps, but yeah, you'd want to top your fuel up, get your tyre pressures checked, even get in a little bit of a mindset. So
this is who we've got. Portugal going against the Czech Republic, and then you've got Russia versus Norway. On the other side, we have so far got Belarus with an indeterminate rival, but we will have Finland taking on the Ukraine.
Yeah, and it all looks to be real good battles forming there, you know, as the drivers get through. Perhaps we can have, while we're waiting, maybe we can go to some highlights possibly, and gives us a chance to just talk some rubbish some more.
Well, this is Yves Meyer versus Michael Reichert, which was our first proper paired battle from earlier on. And I mean, that was, as you said at the time, scrappy, because Yves Meyer managed to damage bits, but he was the one that got knocked out in that.
Yeah, it's a culmination of your mistakes that add up.
There is the very happy victor from the Russia versus Hungary battle, which was Fedorov and Janto. That was Belarus versus Lithuania, and the mistake coming from Benediktas Cherba, which helped Dimitri Nagula go through out of the first run from the other end of the top 16. Now, Nagula was only 15th in the points, but he's got through. Cherba second has been bumped out. Here you've got the action between Maxi, who was 14th last night, and Kukulikso, who was third, so Potelexko goes through, and Aro Vida, 28th, got dumped out by Dimitri Ilyuk at the end of their run. And this is the one we still don't have a winner from. The Sheriff from Italy and Bergins from Latvia. And the fans wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for tyre changes to go on. And we're looking at something like 10 minutes before we get that race underway. That Marshall, that we've never seen the face of, we've only seen the back of him, has been out in the worst of the weather. We've had pretty much dry running all day for the circuit racing. As soon as the drifters come out, this poor Marshall is yet again stuck in the rain.
Yeah, the only saving grace is he's got some decent waterproofs. Now, I actually shook his hand last night and I said to him, you know, you were out there in everything. He said, it's okay, I'm dry underneath. I said, you must be freezing. He says, okay, I will warm up. So, you know, he's obviously doing it for the love.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he couldn't pay me enough to stand out there.
Well, I mean, it's a valid point, because without marshals, we couldn't have motorsport, whether it's drifting, circuit racing, rallying, rallycross, you name it. They're all volunteers.
Yeah, the Orange Army, as they're often referred to, without them, you know, would be snookered.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
But I've still got my money on the two drivers I said earlier. tonight, and I'm sticking with them.
Okay, let's have another look at an onboard view if we can as well, because the course is a short one. It's certainly been catching people out, and the Sheriff is our onboard driver. The rain is falling here. The Sheriff is changing his tyres, but we'll have another look in a moment at what the track is like and what a run is like from onboard the Toyota. The car new to him, in fact, the FFF Racing Team entry, and Federico Scerifo, who drives that car for the host nation, very experienced drifter. This is the last run, so this was the Sheriff as the chaser.
Yeah, as you can see, he's looking across, seeing where the lead driver is. Appears a lot closer than what we see it out on screen. So imagine when these are another 3 or 4 foot closer, you can see all the input he's having to make on the steering wheel, watching not only where he's going on the track, but trusting that the lead driver is in the right place. But you've still got to watch everything. You've got to, you know, all your proximity sensors. Is he in the right place? Is he transitioning in the right place? Am I going to hit the zones? Is he going off? If he's going off, I don't want to go off. And look at the visibility. I mean, the wipers are flat out. And as I say, you've got the floodlights shining off the ground.
While we're on board quickly, just tell me about gearboxes. We're not H pattern, but is it a sequential? What do we do?
Yeah, some guys run a standard H pattern box.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, but some guys prefer the sequential, which basically is, you know, you pull the gear back to go forwards.
Okay. I suppose part of it, changing gear all the time is a distraction. You've got enough to worry about.
Yeah, and if you go across a H pattern box, there's more chance of selecting the wrong gear.
Yeah.
You know, you go for third, you get fifth.
Now this, so far, is your driver of the night, isn't it? This is from on his own early on.
Yeah, this guy's just so smooth and so consistent. You could, you know, where the white boxes are, you could say, go and put your car in them, and he's in them all the time, and he is, and that's why he's #1 qualifier.
He did have the dry weather, though.
Yeah, all in practice, he was flying, in the wet he was flying. So, for smoothness, consistency, my money's on this man at the moment.
Is Portugal a big drift nation, or is he an exception?
I think it's like many, it's getting more and more popular. But I believe this is the first time this man's come out of Portugal.
Okay, here's the course, Steve. Just talk us through this and the red zones again.
Yeah, so at the top of your screen, the start line is to the left, and as you approach where the green line is, that's your start, in effect, although you're judged from the moment you leave the start line. But that's where you want to have your car sideways. So in that red area there, the car may slow down ever so slightly, especially in the dry.
Yeah.
You know, drivers pull on the handbrake, or the wand as we call it, and it just slows the car ever so slightly. So if you know that's a D-cell area, you can expect the car in front just to slow ever so slightly. Doesn't mean he can slow massively, but he'll slow slightly, so you shouldn't run into him.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my crikey, look at that weather.
Right, are submarines regular craft in drifting?
No, and another problem that could well develop through the night, many of these cars don't run demisters.
I was about to ask
or
about
inside here.
yeah.
And you know, race cars in the rain, they get a bit of water in them and they turn into a kettle inside and they just fog up. So you've now got, you know, fog windows that you can't see out of. The light, the rain, everything's against you right now.
Do you ever get to a point where it's too wet?
You can do, yeah, when puddles are forming, I'm saying it affects the car so much that it pulls you out, and you can't run that judge line because of the puddles.
So what's going on here? This is the Sheriff's car.
Yeah, just having a quick look. Maybe they're talking about it. Maybe there's something wrong with the Sheriff's car.
Well, possibly.
It is a new build. It is something that you sometimes get with these cars, you know, regardless of how much money you spend on them.
Joking apart, there's water in the works, isn't there?
Yeah, it could well be. It could be something as simple as that, shut the ECU down, or a throttle position sensor. Yeah.
We're all on the phones. The Sheriff is able to sit there until he gets a 5-minute countdown. Is that right? Not quite sure why you would sit there rather than just go and do the run.
Yeah, maybe he's hoping that the
might dry up.
if he has called a 5-minute rule, which I don't think he has, you rather than if you finish the car in 30 seconds, you use your whole 5 minutes.
Right.
Because you only get the 5 minutes. So whether you use 30 seconds of it or 4 minutes of it, 2 minutes of it, you're using it up so he can choose to sit there if he wants, rather than fix the car and get back out. But it looks like they're fixing the car, so they've called a 5-minute rule. There's probably going to be a clock somewhere. We saw it yesterday. The red digital clock comes up, 5 minutes. So he's out of the car. He's out of the car. He's not looking too happy either.
So the Sheriff looks on, thinking he's going to go again. You get the feeling, don't you, that there's the clock, 4 minutes 40 in counting. If it was a really bad problem, they'd have to knock it on the head. They are working, but we saw this last night with Denmark, and they couldn't get it done in the 5 minutes.
Yeah, but they tried right up until the last second. You know, they were, with 5 seconds to go, they were still whittling away, thinking it was fixed, but they couldn't do it.
So the clock ticks on down. So we thought this was just a tyre change. Again, I mean, this is an unfair question, Steve. Apologies in a sense, but what could a problem be other than just tyres that's developed over the course of the runs?
Well, it could be anything from coming loose, a steering braking, where you go over the rumble strips. A lot of the steering's on rose joints, which, although they're strong, sometimes do break. It can be something as simple as that. Something, you know, it's easy to forget a bolt's done up, it's come loose, and it's now bent the steering arm. Suddenly, you know, the car's pulling to one side, or it's not quite right. They're having a good look around the front of that car, particularly on that corner.
There's certainly concern, isn't there?
Yes, yes.
And their mechanic in the car as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So it's something steering
Yeah, it
related.
looked like they was holding the steering, but the Sheriff looks like he's getting back in, crash helmet's on, so I'm assuming, yeah, look, holding the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I reckon there was something on the steering now.
Bad vibrations, I've just been told, from the garage. So and their vibrations he's not happy with, clearly. So not good vibrations, bad vibrations for the Sheriff. So they've had a play around, but there's something that he doesn't feel is quite right.
Yeah, which could be, you know, something from a track control arm, the steering arm's come loose. For any reason, it is a brand new car. So I wouldn't like to say what it is, but it could be a number of things. Could even be something that you don't, you know, suspect could have warped a brake disc.
Yes, I thought, isn't it? Yeah.
We know he likes the left foot brake. We've seen his brake lights on a lot. Could he have warped a brake disc? Maybe, with them getting so hot, the water going on them.
Well, 2.5 to go, and he's fired it up.
He's fired it up, so he's going back out. But that means he's used his 5-minute rule. You're only allowed one 5-minute rule in the competition.
Okay.
So if he has any other problems later on in the... That's it. You've got no more time. Even if your rival, or you're battling against, calls a 5-minute rule, that doesn't give you 5 minutes. You can't put hands on the car. You've got to just sit there and go, damn.
Yeah, using too much.
Yep.
Right, so the clock ticks, but he's on his way. Well, he wants to get on with this run. He's hungry. Out comes the Sheriff then. Which way do I go now, he asks.
Yep, so he's left his pit, and these pits were absolutely beautiful with all the cars out earlier.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, everyone's put them away in the garages. But nice and gentle, got to go slow. He's just having a little bit of a stab of it there and feeling it.
If he's not happy with it, I mean, that clearly is going to prey on his mind, that he's going to compromise the runs when he gets to them.
Yes,
now he turns into the pit lane. If you're wondering, this is a nice opportunity to have a look at what Vallelunga is like. Down the pit lane, which is illuminated, they have a 6-hour race here, and it's a pretty cramped pit lane, but with the garages to the right. And here, incidentally, as well, just making a point of a different category, but the GT cars are all turned the other way, so they face into the paddock, so all the fans can see them.
Yeah,
all the other cars are in shelters. It's the same for the GT cars as well.
Absolutely spectacular cars out there. So there he comes. Let's just have a little look and see what he's... Is he going to have a little fiddle with the steering wheel, have a little fall around, see if there's any vibrations. The steering wheel doesn't look to be shaking in his hand at the moment. And of course, this will play on your own mind. If you're now not happy with the car and the way it's behaving, you're already putting yourself at that little disadvantage. Some drivers can just go, well, if it breaks, it breaks. I'll drive it till the wheels fall off, literally, you know, and they get on with it.
Yeah.
But when it's a brand new car that's probably cost a few quid.
So, in case you forgot, because you haven't seen them enough, it is Italy versus Latvia. It's Federico Scerifo versus Edmund Bergins. Here's your donut area where he gets a chance to put some warmth into the tyres.
Yeah, now me, I'd be... Looks looks like he's just doing really sharp donuts. I'll be trying to get more heat in the front tyres.
Right.
Because they're what you steer with. If you don't get them right, and we've seen what happens down at clip 2, you need to get some heat in your tyres to take down there with you, because there's no bite. Boo-balls bend, as I've called it now.
That's right, yeah.
With so many drivers going off there yesterday.
Benjamin Bull was the main casualty yesterday.
Yeah, twice within inches of where he went off.
Yeah, he was consistent, but consistently bad. That was the
Yes,
problem,
yeah, unfortunately. But there was a few drivers who went off there.
Yeah.
You know, it turned into a nice ring. They come in too hot. Many just understeered though, which, you know, begged the question: was the front tyres really cold?
We had 6 drivers, didn't we, with a double 0 last night. So they got spin on both runs. Right, Sharifo is finally, I think, being coaxed up towards the line. It's got to be one of the longest drift competitions ever. And now he's lost his rival, because where is Bergins?
Yeah, Bergins now be warming his tyres up. And if I was him, I'd take me time and leave the Sharif setting now. So his tyres are going cold. So when I pull up to the line, my tyres are warmer.
Tactics.
But you can't leave him sitting there too long. You know, he's got to be relative. You can't, you know, take 10 minutes to come to the line. But he's got to have his time
To warm up
his tyres. If the Sheriff took, say, 2 minutes, then the other guy's entitled to 2 minutes to warm his tyres up.
Here he is.
So here we go.
And if they can't decide after this run-off, do they go again, or is there a finite number?
Yeah, normally the one more times only go twice. Sometimes, depending on the championship, it can go 3 times, but often it's only twice, and then they go, right, we'll have to go back, and we'll absolutely dissect them, and we'll really pull them apart.
So we'll go again. And Italy will lead, Latvia will chase, and on a very wet road here at Vallelunga, we're still within our top 16 as the drift competition is back in business. And so Federico Scerifo, the Italian, leads in the Toyota. The chasing Latvian BMW of Edmunds Bergins goes with him.
Yeah, Bergins, much better line through zone 1 there. Here comes that section. Both transition across, and they're going to the... You can just see, look, there's no grip there at all. The cars are literally just sliding, no throttle, hardly touching the brakes. This is a good lead run so far from the Sheriff. But Bergins isn't too far back, throws a bit of angle on, comes ever so slightly offline, but he's got the proximity.
You say it's a good lead run. He'd had practice at it, hasn't he? Because he's been out there a lot tonight.
Yeah.
And the drama there, you almost cut across the front of Latvia, so Bergins had to back out of that.
Yeah, right on the finish line there, we saw Scerifo just coming away from 6. Let's watch this just again. Scerifo flicks it in. Bergins is there. Not massively close, but we've seen how much closer it looks on the in-car camera.
Yeah.
It's there, good line from both drivers. They're going to transition now across the track, go out to this ever so sketchy zone 2. You see, look, he just
slides.
Just sliding, not touching the brakes. It's almost like, you know, I don't want to touch anything. It's that risky there. It's, do I just let the car flow and hope it stays on track?
In this, power is an embarrassment, because you can't use it.
Yeah, so now the guys with the lesser horsepower.
This is the moment where he cut across the front, and Bergins, look, has to brake and back out of that.
Yeah. Scerifo grips up, comes in, and Bergins really know where to go. How the judges will view that, they may blame the chase driver, they may say the lead driver is at fault because of where he's come back and shouldn't have been. Look at the visibility there.
Or lack of it, really, yeah.
Or lack of it, yeah. And listen to this as they come to... Oh, it's just come off. I thought it was going to stay there, but you would have heard that the engine note drops, and it's just calm as they just slide and hope they stay on track.
Well, Federico Scerifo now will be the chaser. Latvia's Edmunds Bergins is going to be the leader. The rain is still falling, and a track that was dry and fast and spectacular early on is spectacular, but slow and very wet now for this, what we hope is going to be the last run from the top 16. We've got everybody else for the quarterfinals set ready to go.
And away we go. Bergins to lead. Sheriff is going to hunt him down. Can he catch his man? He's right there just on the corner, which he's allowed to be. He's nice and close. Look at that. He's just tucked in the pocket, but then comes off. Oh, and he's thrown it away.
Now, surely that's going to give us a result now.
That's it.
So Latvia's going to go through.
He's made the incomplete. Latvia's just got to finish this run, and he's through.
Right, finally then, got knockout at this stage. Edmunds Bergins will go through for Latvia, and Federico Scerifo makes another mistake that we've seen a few of over the course of practice, qualifying, and spins the Toyota. So Latvia will go through. The judges can almost mop their brows now because there's no argument about this one.
Yeah, you know, sometimes this is a relief for the judges.
Yeah.
You know, I've judged many times around the world, and when something like this happens, you go, oh, thank Christ, it's made it a bit, you know, because you don't want to keep going one more time. You just got to make sure that it's not going to be blamed on the lead driver. Is Bergins at fault here? Is he out of the way? Is he maintaining momentum and progressing forward? It appears to be. Doesn't seem to chalk up and slow down. No. Looks like the sheriff just shot himself.
Indeed so. I always point out other religious leaders are available. So Latvia goes through then. Edmunds Bergins will progress. Finally, we can write another name on our chart here that we've got in front of us to know who goes through, and that will mean that Bergins for Latvia goes up against Belarus's Dmitry Nagula in the next round of the competition.
Yeah, I can't see any other outcome other than Bergins going through. Frico's thrown it away. Sheriff has really did throw it away, and that could be, you know, that was probably one of his best runs when he did the lead run there. And you get that little bit confident, you get a little bit psyched up as we're on the front toe in eye.
Well, this is not a run that's going to last long. I mean, in fairness to him, to all of them, the conditions are foul.
Oh, absolutely atrocious. And the cameras don't do it justice, but look at the spray that's coming up. So you're getting double the amount of rain that's there.
And it's a low-speed spin as well, isn't it?
Low-speed spin, yeah. It's not fast because there's no grip. Look at the amount of water on the bottom of the screen there that's running. And if that's running across the corner, it's running across the track.
So?
I wouldn't like to be driving in these.
No, I think you're in the right place.
Yeah, it's nice and warm and dry now.
Well, there is the Toyota, and Federico Scerifo, natty overalls or not, I think we've seen the last of.
Yeah, they're just in front of the big digital screen now, so they can see who goes through. As we go back to when the sheriff led, it was a decent run. It was nice. It was deep out into zone 1.
This is their first run that we're looking at.
Are we looking for any big mistakes now from Bergins? Did Bergin make a big error?
He didn't spin, did he?
Hasn't spun, checked up a little bit there.
He dropped away. The proximity wasn't great, was it? But
just gets throws on massive angle, and this is where there was that little issue at the finish line. Did he straighten before the sheriff came across him?
Okay, is that what's being looked
That's possibly what they're looking at. You see there that Bergins is straightened and the sheriff comes across him. Those guys are right above that corner there, so they have got an absolutely fantastic view. We've got a split decision.
So what do we do now?
That, to me, looks like the sheriff is going through.
Well, it's 2-1, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of votes. So interesting, that.
Yeah,
We don't go again.
I'd like to speak to the judges. You know, let's hear from the judges if we can.
Yeah.
As to how that went, because they've obviously seen something that we haven't.
So we were thinking Latvia. Now, on that basis, it's Italy. We think that will progress. Yes.
Yes, looking at where they were slid across on the screen.
Now we are into the quarterfinals. Here's what we prepared earlier, and it will be Korea and Reichert, Portugal and the Czech Republic. First of all, let's get the judges' opinion on that last run.
Ryan, there was a split decision there, so what point are we at now?
Well, right now, the split decision isn't really too much of a consequence because 2 judges outweighed the 1 judge. And looking at what just happened on the track, some people might be slightly confused by the results right now. Scerifo did a great job in his lead run, right up front. Put the car in all the right places. He was only slightly inside on outside zone number 6. In the chase position, the driver unfortunately straightened before the finish line, so he got an incomplete. Then we go to the next run of the battle. Scerifo in the chase position spins on outside zone 1. So that's 2 incompletes for the chase runs.
Okay.
So we kind of avoid or ignore the chase runs, and we look only at the lead runs. If we compare lead to lead, Federico Sharifo did a better job in the lead position than the other driver did. Now, in the lead position, the other driver still had to complete his lead run, even though Sharifo spun behind him. And what we saw is that the lead driver made a big mistake on outside zone number 2. He over-rotated a little bit, the car kind of stalled, and he got back on throttle, but he went offline and had poor angle because of that. He also left outside zone 5 early and made the same mistake where Sharifo was off of outside zone 6. So if you compare lead to lead, Sharifo gets the win because both drivers incompleted in the chase. Sometimes the way the rules are written kind of tie our hands in a situation like this, where we just have to go based on what we see on track and do the results based on that.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
It's my pleasure. And now we just have a slight track break, and then we're going to go off to top 8 battles.
Sure, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
That, Louise, I think was the fullest answer you could possibly have been given. So Ryan's answers available as podcasts, I think. That was as full and informative as we would have desired. So we are ready, but we just heard about a track break from the judge. So let's see how long it's going to be before we get into Portugal versus the Czech Republic. Diego Correa has looked really good so far this evening, but of course now, really for the first time, A, he's got company, B, he's got the worst weather.
Yeah, absolutely atrocious weather. That poor start line marshal, I mean, if he doesn't get a presentation for something, a prize for something, for being out there.
Yeah.
He's been there, he hasn't budged an inch, you know. But yeah, this could be a really good battle. On paper, it should be a great battle.
That's who we've got. Portugal goes against the Czech Republic. Russia goes against Norway. On the other side, look, you've got the Belarusian and Italy nations together now. Finland takes on the Ukraine. So we're down to 8 drivers. We're going to lose 4 to get to the semi-finals. Then there'll be the third place runoff and the final itself. Cheers from the fans finally, because we've got action back underway. And Diego Correa then is going to lead the Portuguese champion, being chased by Michael Rijkaard. Remember, Correa was the best point scorer last night. Look at the angle there going out of the first corner. He's still going to take some beating.
Yeah, he's out deep into zone 1. Rijkaard is following him, staying with him. Can't get massive proximity. There is just no grip. Rijkaard comes way offline. Look, 1, 2. That's definitely 2 wheels offline. And a half spin, checks up to a straight. So this is going to be a massive advantage when they come to compare lead to lead, chase to chase.
Is that an incomplete?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah. So Portugal is going to do a good run. Maybe it's not the best lead run, but again, I keep banging on about it, but these weather conditions are horrible now.
Yeah, still got a couple of minor mistakes in there from our lead driver, from Correa, which, when they compare lead to lead, that's where, you know, they're going to find the fault, and it could go either way. Here you watch Rijkaard. He comes in, gets up relatively close, doesn't find the amount of grip that Portuguese car has got. Watch just here, it just starts to pull away. And I think Rijkaard just gets a bit of a panic on. It comes to a section where there's no grip. Here's the little bit of separation. Rijkaard tries to dive in to get back on the proximity. He's dived too early.
Up the grass, up the curb. And that curb unsettles you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it throws it, can pull the steering out of your hands. We know visibility is atrocious. You've got the lights, you've got the rain. You know. Oh. Big, massive mistake there.
Yeah, that's Correa, the Portuguese driver.
And another little one there. So when this goes back to lead, those 2 big mistakes that you just saw there could come into play.
And that shot of the cars coming towards the camera in the rain, just vile conditions. Right, now they switch lanes, so Michael Rijkaard will lead for the Czech Republic, and it's going to be Portugal, Diego Correa with his M3 that this time will do the chasing. Which of these 2 drivers is going to progress? Well, Rijkaard is on the back foot after that rather scrappy first run.
He knows he's got to put in a 100-point, you know, qualifying line run. He's got to do the best run of his life and hope that the chase driver of Correa makes all the mistakes. Rijkaard pitches it in. Correa just hanging back. He knows that he has got this line sussed. He knows where he's quick. Can he make that? He doesn't want to drop back too far because you get an incomplete run. But he's within relatively good distance. We'd like to see him a lot closer, of course we would. Here's where there's no grip. Correa takes a little bit of a dive on the inside, but keeps him going. So, okay, he's going to lose a couple of points there, but it's not as drastic as Rijkaard's mistake. He's now trying to get up with Rijkaard. He's got the grip in that car. Even though it isn't the most powerful car on the grid, it's relative to the horsepower, to the grip. And can see Korea just pushing right around really through that final section, but also making a couple of mistakes in the chase position.
I was going to say there was a confidence in the way Korea went, but if there's errors in there, maybe
yeah, there's errors. They're just tiny ones that, you know, some people will see, some people won't see. If you watch the car, it just shakes it about a little bit where it almost grips up and then he has to go again. It's down on zone 5 is one of his mistakes. There we go, end of zone 1, transition across. We know this is where there's no grip. This is where everyone's making mistakes.
Michael slides out.
Yeah, Korea takes it a little bit gentle, doesn't go out as far. Obviously worried about going off track there. And here he starts making ground. Doesn't get out as far, but he's got the proximity. Just there he checks up ever so slightly. And he's going to do it just again here. Hopefully we're going to swap cameras and catch it again. Just right there. There's a little, just before that actually, there's a little tiny chink. That's a point or two that he's going to lose. You know.
So what do you think? Czech Republic or Portugal to go through? The judges look, the judges
I've got it wrong. I've got it wrong every time. So
yeah, but it's interesting because you can look at this as a competitor, as a judge.
Yeah, and I'm watching exactly what the guys on the live stream are watching, but we don't have the cameras and the view that the judges have, which is why it's easy for me to call it one way, and then you realise why the judges have called it a different way, especially when they explain it.
Well, we'll get the results in a moment. In the meantime, the next battle is good to go, which is Russia versus Norway. But first up, we need to see who progresses. And the judges say split, split, split. They're going to go again, aren't they?
It looks like that's a go again. In the middle, they haven't slid left, they haven't slid right. So obviously the mistakes.
This one is
just trying to listen in, see if we could pick anything up there.
Well, while we wait,
it's an interesting one as to why that's gone again, for sure.
While we wait, it's on Helge Helstad with company for the first time because he got a bye effectively into this quarter-final for Norway against Ilya Fedorov in the Nissan, the Russian driver. Fedorov looked very good last night. He was 4th, Helstad 5th, so this should be a really evenly matched run.
This could be, you know, one of the battles of the night. You've got two guys who are evenly matched, but it is now absolutely torrential rain. Let's see. Both cars flicking, take it out. Both feathering the throttle just ever so gently because trying to find grip, there's no point absolutely burying the throttle because you don't go anywhere. Transition across the track. And there you hear the silence where they come off throttle, wait for the grip to appear and then get back on it. It's not the neatest run from both drivers, but it's okay. So better to stay on track than throw your car off. Lead driver way off clip 5, comes out clip 6, pulls a bit of distance. Yeah, scrappy from both drivers. Not as good as I'd expected. I thought this was going to be, you know, moving each other's wing mirrors. I thought these guys were going to be inches apart.
But the weather is really the factor in that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You can't, you know, it's only so much you can trust in what's underneath you and what's underneath the other guy. You know, do you pitch in really fast and barrel into him and take you both out, and then you've lost if you take the lead car out. Listen to that silence there. And then back on throttle. It is just so treacherous in that one corner.
I mean, it's impressive that they can do this in the dry, never mind the wet.
Yeah, I mean, the control that these guys are showing.
Precisely, yeah. It's almost more impressive in the wet, actually.
Yeah, it's not as spectacular.
No.
And people go, oh, you know, it's boring, it's slow. But it's showing, you know, some real car control from these guys.
So, Portugal versus the Czech Republic will go again. We have Russia versus Norway. Fedorov and Helstad to switch lanes, lead and chase, and then they will have their second run. There they are. So this time around it is going to be Odd-Helge Helstad, the junior champion, Norwegian senior champion, who will take on the 4 times Russian Drift Series champion Ilya Fedorov, the 33-year-old, one of the veterans really of drifting, Fedorov, and he will this time be the chaser. I was going going to say it's easing off that, Ray, but that's just a lie.
Yeah, I think you would be.
Yeah, I'm deluded.
Ask the start line, Marshall.
Yeah, right.
Away we go.
Norway blasts off. Norway will lead, so got the two Nissans together here, and Helgstedt chucks it sideways into the first corner.
Yep, in he goes, and Fedorov is going to try and make inroads because he needs to keep the proximity. You've got to make a little bit of an example, if you like. The last battle between these two wasn't that spectacular. It was okay. Both drivers making a mistake. Fedorov making another little mistake there, but he's got some proximity. But now he's going to check himself into the wrong place.
Whoa, he's off the road.
He's transitioned too early. It's going to throw him out of sync for 5. He's going to come inside of the track there.
That transition point where it's now wet and muddy, it's like drifting and rallycross merge, isn't it? Because that's another thing. You go offline, you go off-road, you bring that back onto the circuit for your next run or the next competitors, and they've got a different grip level.
And of course, all the time the rain's falling, we've got little rivers and little puddles for you. So every time these guys go, it's changing.
Yeah, indeed. Right, what do you think? You've seen them lead, you've seen them chase. Fedorov was the better of the two yesterday, but in terms of points, well, you know, he did okay, but come the end of it, he was only, what, 7 or 8 ahead of Helgstedt, so there wasn't much to choose between them last night.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it one more time, but I'd like not to. This is the big mistake here. Look, gets up the inside, has had to back out of it to give the lead driver room to transition, and that puts him in no man's land, which then means you can't link it to 5, puts you completely out of line for that. But he has got relative proximity, which means you can come offline because you're chasing the lead driver.
Now, one of the judges think they still want to have another look at Portugal and the Czech Republic, interestingly.
Yeah, the votes have gone in by the looks of it.
Do we get an answer to this? There's less mirth for this one, and so the winner will be Fedorov for Russia. He goes through then. So Russia will go to the semi-final.
My money's safe.
I think it backed everybody.
No, Fedorov and that Portuguese man, Korea. They're my two.
Right, well now you've got the Belarusian Dmitry Nagula and Italian Federico Scerifo.
Yeah, which may have looked a controversial decision earlier, but it was explained by Ryan, a very experienced judge. He's come over from the Drift Series in America. So, you know, he is one of the pinnacle of the judges, if you like. You know, he judges the best in the world.
And the way that he's explaining what he's looking for makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The explanation that you can't argue with that, whether you're a fan or a driver.
Yeah, you watch it and you think it's gone one way. Even I did. You know, and I'm an experienced judge, but I haven't got their viewpoint, and I haven't got the extra cameras that they've got. So I'm doing the same as you guys at home and girls, and I'm going by what I see here. So Sheriff pitches it in. Oh my! Nagula nearly threw that round, but he kept it with plenty of lock. And he's maintained some relative proximity. They're not getting massively close. No. We know that because of the weather. In the dry, they were inches apart. Into the treacherous turn, zone 2. Both get through it okay. Be nice if the Sheriff was pulling away here, which he should have done really a little bit more, but he's kept it all together.
No left foot braking there.
No, he's a lot less left foot braking from the Sheriff. Nagula not too far apart. You know, both making mistakes. It's going to be when they compare lead, chase. Nagula now has got to pull, put it out of the bag. He's got to do an absolutely blinder of a lead. So
it was this corner where you got very excited about the thing almost looping. Let's have another look.
Watch this. He pitches it in.
Oh, wow,
and there's suddenly no real grip, and then it bites up a little bit. Uses the great lock kit that he's got on now. Winds some lock on, saves the car. And doesn't fall back massively, not as much as, you know, perhaps would happen in the dry. In the dry there, the Sheriff would have pulled another 5 or 6 car lengths.
So that Nissan 200 SX being energetically driven, that's for sure. Again, Scerifo doesn't have great pace, but that was a better run than some that we've seen from him.
Yeah, and even if he hasn't got the best pace, the chase driver's not catching him.
No, that's true.
So it proves that, you know, for some of these cars, you might say, oh, they're slow. They haven't got the pace in the car in these conditions. And with a brand new car, you know, you almost, although you know what works to grip and what doesn't, it can really work against you on a new chassis. You go, well, on that car we do X amount of toe in, or we do 5 clicks on the suspension to make it soft. This car's very different to what he's used to driving when he drives a Ferrari in the Formula Drift series. It's, you know, to come and drive a brand new car and jump in it, I think he's doing really well. Had an absolute mare of practice and qualifying yesterday, you know, just before qualifying, in fact.
Things are certainly getting better. That's
getting
for sure.
better.
Yeah.
More and more laps. I'd say he's getting more and more confident with this car.
Right, he's ready to be the chaser now. Is Federico Sharifo. Dimitri Nagula for Belarus is going to be the leader. He's going to try and not make as big a slide at the first corner. Sideways good, almost out of control bad. So Belarus leads, and Nagula, domestic champion, chucks it in. And so too does the Sheriff.
Yeah, the Sheriff not too far behind. He's gaining some ground on him, and this is very good for the Sheriff. Can the Sheriff maintain it? Both staying in zone 1 deep. The Sheriff taking that a little bit longer, so it brings his transition to the right point. He can gain some proximity here and just come offline ever so slightly, which he does. They're going to run in a very, very good lead line. The Sheriff, puts a wheel. You saw the dirt flick up there, and it's just unsettled the car ever so slightly. Doesn't make it quite out to 5 there, puts him on the inside line. So the judge is going to have to pick this apart, you know, lead, chase. But they're making more detailed notes. I'm not making any notes.
Yeah.
You know, they're making any note that they see, a straight, miss this clip, miss that clip, corrections on the steering wheel. I'm not making any notes. I'm trying to remember, and I'm always forgetful. So
it's just good to watch as much as anything.
It is great to watch.
Because, as we keep making the point, this is a wash, this circuit. The grip level is almost non-existent. With all of this grunt, they are doing a great job of keeping them in the zones at all.
Yeah.
And perversely, as the weather has got worse, Sharifo's almost got better.
Yeah, he must love this weather.
Yeah,
I bet his team's doing a rain dance. Somewhere in the pits, they're doing a rain dance, because maybe that car has got just a really good wet setup, and now he's getting used to it. You know, just drops one wheel there that's going to cost him, and that puts him offline for this final 5 clip and 6 clip. You see, he's a little bit inside there, but he does make up the proximity. And the judges did say in the briefing that, you know, if you come offline, as long as you gain some momentum and you get up on the lead car, they wasn't going to, you know, sacrifice him too much. Let's just have a look at what his visibility is. I'll switch them wipers on, mate. See all the steering corrections he's having to make.
Yeah. So look, there's the rain on the window, there's the car ahead, there's the light in your way.
Yeah.
Who is going to come out on top? It will be Italy. 2 votes,
That's
3
it, the
votes,
Sheriff.
unanimous this time. The Sheriff got a charmed life here. He goes through.
Yeah, he's getting better and better, that man in that car.
So Italy, represented by Federico Sharifo, will progress against either Juha Putelakso or Dimitri Ilyuk. Finland takes on the Ukraine here, and Putelakso has been one of the fancy drivers, so let's see what he can deliver.
Yeah, Putelakso, other events, he has been absolutely like a man possessed.
Yeah.
So this could go either way. Ilyuk, I did say yesterday, I find him a bit hit or miss. He is gung-ho, you know, he is, I'm having this and I'm going flat out. If I go off, I go off.
Yeah.
So this could be the crash of the day, or it could be an amazing battle, or they could both cancel each other out where they're so aggressive.
Sure. Well, let's see, because actually Ilyuk has been pretty decent so far in the competition. The green flag drops then. The BMW struggles off the line, doesn't it? There, Putelakso now to try and pick up the pace so that the chaser can slot in behind him. They both fling it sideways, and Ilyuk almost rubbing paint with him.
Yeah, Ilyuk getting up real close and personal. This is exactly what I want to see. He just comes off a line there, but then drops straight back into the pocket, leaving enough room for transition. He's going to make a dive here. He's got to come in, which he does. Putelakso running a great lead line. Makes it easier for Ilyuk to get up on him. Ilyuk is right up close and personal. This is what we want to see. Leaves again, enough room, transitions that bit early, does that dirt drop there. Judges will, you know, they don't like that. It's not where they want to see you, but he's got relatively good proximity. Drops off a little bit through zone 5, gets it back through zone 6. That's a good chase, and it's a good lead.
Okay, so
but still mistakes,
Yeah,
only
yeah,
small
yeah.
mistakes from both drivers, but that's what they're going to compare. They're going to, you know, He made a mistake at zone 2, how big it was.
And of course, and it's obvious, but let's make the point, the further you go through the competition, the better the drivers are. So
Yeah,
there should be fewer errors.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this, just so... Well, it was just unreal there. It was so close, almost had to panic and get off, so he didn't run into him because you don't want to impede the lead driver, and that just dropped him back again. And then it's the chase. And just here, he makes a little bit of a dive, just comes ever so slightly offline. Chase is on in the inside here, doesn't go out to zone 3, but transitions early, watch. Doesn't transitions where the cones are, does it a little bit early so he can get back in. Flames just coming out of everywhere on that machine, and then again through the finish line there, Iliuk, he's just up on the inside, just within reach, if you like, not massively close, but there or thereabouts.
So now they switch lanes. It means that the lead car will be the Nissan of the Ukraine, Dmitry Iliuk behind the wheel of it, and the finish BMW, Juha Pytälä will be the chaser. Well, we've got him on the line. Where is the Ukraine? Here he comes. The headlights you see piercing the gloom.
Now, it could be interesting of what the spotters have told each driver. You know, Pytälä spotters are probably saying, listen, into zone 1, he was absolutely on your door, but he did make a bit of an error. So Pytälä can go, right, I'll play it safe and I'll stay relatively close, but don't have any errors. Or do I put it on his door and have it, you know, push this guy around the track and seal it? But in these conditions, crikey, you know, it's... Looks like the rain's easing, dare I say it. It's still raining. Iliuk away through the little chicane. Pytälä is going to tuck just in behind and get ready to slide straight up on the side of Iliuk, which he does. Not as close as Iliuk was to Pytälä, but he's got the proximity there. Just comes a little bit offline to maintain that proximity. Get ready for the transition, just across the front of the car. You see almost bumper to bumper, and back in comes Pytälä.
This is what people have in the mind as drifting. This is good,
what
isn't
we
it?
want to see. Yeah, this is great. Pytälä, you know, he's really being aggressive here. He's getting right up on the side, wherever he can. He's going to drop back ever so slightly here, and then bang, straight back up on the podium. Come on, Pytälä, can he get in there?
Chucks it up the inside.
But makes a mistake there.
Yeah.
Just
almost overlaps, doesn't
yeah, just checks himself up. So, one for the judges, they're going to be looking at mistakes and say lead for lead, who made mistakes in his lead, who made mistakes in his lead, and chase to chase.
Finding a perfect run is virtually impossible tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just atrocious. We can't emphasise enough just how bad it is. But watch Pytälä here when it comes to the transitions. Not got the greatest line, but he's got proximity. So, as the judges said, you can come a little bit offline to gain the proximity, and he does. There's the transition. He's nice and close, and he's probably the closest we've seen into this zone. It was brave there because we know there's no grip. Pytälä all over Iliuk, and again, he just drops back ever so slightly. Sacrifice is going so deep to 4, but he's got the proximity on Iliuk. And here is where he just checked up a little bit. There, look. Just checks up, has to get on the handbrake just to almost reinitiate, and the judges, it's right by them. They're going to see that one. So I'm not putting my money on it either. I'm not saying who's going to win this because I'll get it wrong.
Right. Are we going to have to go one more time is the other question. Let's see. We've still got that other one pending, haven't we, between Karaya and Reichert, Portugal and the Czech Republic. Brian doesn't look terribly pleased, but the other two are still scribbling.
I think they're just out of the rain there, so they're quite pleased that they're not in the rain, but they are up very high.
Iliuk. So Pytälä, one of the favourites, has gone.
Yeah, has gone.
The Ukraine goes through to face Italy in the first semi-final, and here is the second go at getting a driver from Portugal or the Czech Republic to face Russia. So Diego Karaya for Portugal, Michael Reichert for the Czech Republic. They're on the line once again. Looks like it's easing off a little, this break.
Yes, definitely not coming down like it was earlier, but we saw this yesterday, that there's that little river, almost like a puddle, when you transition across the track from zone 1 to zone 2, and it was sending everybody off because they were getting so confident as they were coming out of 1. Oh, there's loads of grip here, and they were bundling into Boo Ball's corner, and they were off.
Right then, so both made mistakes to the point that the judges couldn't split them as leaders or chasers, so we go again. The green flag drops. Portugal will lead. BMW takes on BMW. The older spec Oct-3 in the hands of Diego Correia instantly starts to pendulum into the first corner. Raikkonen tries to mirror him, so the multiple Portuguese champion it is who has been looking really good throughout. He was the best on points last night. He leads.
Yeah, and it's a good lead run so far. Reinhardt right there with him, just eases back a little bit. He knows he's got that transition space he needs, and it's ever so slippery here. Look how much he comes in and just didn't slow down. If he had been a lot closer, he would have took Correia straight off there.
Yeah,
so he knew there he had to stay back and then dive in because he was going to have no grip. And here comes Reinhardt again. He's going to make a dive. He's going to try and get up on Correia. He's close. He's not massively close, but just across the finish line, he's probably the closest he's been.
Who was better, leader or chaser?
Very good lead run and an okay chase run for me, just from this view.
Yeah, see what the judges reckon. Here's the replay of that run then. So have a look at Diego Correia as the leader.
He's going to do what he's been doing. He is going to run a solid lead line. He's out, all the way out into that zone 1. Reinhardt, he's up there with him, but watch, Reinhardt's on the brakes and he just slows the car down here a little bit extra and lets that car pull away, and then he just slides in. Look, off the brakes, no throttle. He knows there's no grip there with his car. Has to rely on that the car's going to stop. Fortunately, there was enough room. Correia has pulled away. Reinhardt's back on the chase, and this is where he starts to make some ground. Just comes off the line here to get the proximity, which he just does because it's on the inside there. And it just transfers back on the inside, just up to the rear quarter. Good bit of aggression from Reinhardt. He showed that he knew when he had to drop back because there's no grip, and he knew where he had grip that he could try and make some inroads. But a very good lead line.
Indeed so. Right, let's go again then in the alternative lane. So now the Czech Republic will be the lead and Portugal chase. Michael Raikkonen's M3 versus Diego Correia's car. And the oh-so-spectacularly liveried Portuguese entry has been looking strong all night, but is it strong enough to go through into the semi-finals? The grid is ready, the green flag is dropped. A better start for Portugal than the Czech Republic. Raikkonen now gets up through the gears, up, he's picked the pace.
Yeah, flicks it in, Reinhardt straight out, all the way to the outside of zone 1. Correia, he's out there as well.
Was that 2 wheels off from Raikkonen, wasn't it?
Was it 2 or was it 1? I didn't quite, to be honest, I didn't quite see. I was just checking on the Portuguese man. It looked like he was in, but he was actually out. See, look, Reinhardt's car, no grip there whatsoever. But Correia should be making inroads on him here. Misses zone 4 because he's trying to make some inroads to catch the lead driver. Reinhardt pulling a couple of car lengths at the moment. But here comes Correia, because he's sacrificed a little bit of line to get the proximity, which the judges said was okay, as long as, if you come off a line, as long as you gain proximity. If you come off a line and you didn't catch the other driver, then that was the worst thing you could have done.
Yeah. Right, here's the replay of the run. So,
let's have a look. So
Raikkonen accelerates into the first corner, kicks it sideways now. Correia shadows him, and there, 1, 2 off the road for Raikkonen. And there's almost 1 off as well as he slides.
Yeah, I'm going to let you call the 2. I'm not so sure.
Okay. Well, the judges will have the final say rather than us for sure. But there again, look, it's flirting with disaster though, as the cars almost get sort of sucked in by the grass verge, almost pulled back towards the runoff area. Right, there's arm waving, was barking into radios. There's a result. Do we have a winner this time? It's the Czech Republic that will go through.
Well,
that is a surprise, given how good Correia has looked. But Raikkonen, fair play.
Yeah, fair play for Reinhardt. He's gone through.
So that means that the Czech Republic will take on Russia going into semi-final 1, and semi-final 2 is now going to be Italy versus the Ukraine. So we'll have the 2 semis, we'll have a 3rd place battle, and the final. Tell you what, this is becoming a really topsy-turvy night, isn't it? Because, you know, Correia looking great all evening and through practice as well. Putelakso favoured coming into the event, both suddenly gone.
Yeah. What can you say? You know, the conditions have been absolutely atrocious. The guys have been working feverishly, changing their cars, trying everything they can. But that zone 2 is an absolute curse.
Now, the judges have been hard at work, and let's go back to them, hear their opinions, and the judges, of course, are with Louise.
Ryan, just writing down now who's made it through to the semi-finals. That's proving very difficult out there.
Yeah, you can see that the conditions have changed again. It was dry when we started, very, very wet, and now it stopped raining again, so we've got some patchy conditions. For a while there, it was completely wet. Yes, it was slippery, but at least it was consistent. Right now, we have areas that are very wet still and other areas that are very dry. So we're into what we had last night for qualifying, where it's a mixed bag out there, and the drivers are trying to get through that. And they're actually doing a pretty good job now. They're actually figuring out where they're able to throw the car and get some speed, and also have some grip so they can get the car out to the outside of the track where they need to be.
Are there any surprises of people that have gone out that you would have thought would have stayed in?
I don't know a lot of these drivers, to be honest with you, just because they're most of them are European, and I haven't judged many of them in the past. But we're seeing some battles that are pretty difficult to judge just because of the conditions and the mistakes that are being made. So we've had a couple of one more times. We had 2 one more times from the same pair of drivers. And I guess to local Italians, they're happy to see that Federico Sciarrifo, who is the lone Italian driver, has made it through to the top 4.
So if you're used to judging in the US and you're over here in Europe, and actually it's all nations, but are you impressed by the driving, the drifting that you're seeing?
Yeah, you know, this is the kind of conditions that really makes it difficult for anybody to shine. It's difficult. If you watched practice earlier when it was dry, you could see some true standouts just because of their ability to get close to the edge of the track. They knew the grip level because it was entirely dry. What we have right here is something that is proving to be difficult to be consistent from one run to the other. And that's generally what's required to win in a drift competition. The guys that make it to the end are the ones that can repeat really high-level runs over and over and over again. But because the conditions aren't reliable, it's very hard for them to be reliable in a way that they're used to being in dry conditions.
So we can expect to see something quite spectacular. Who we're going to see going through, we don't know.
Yes, exactly. And right now it's stopped raining, so it's slowly going to start drying.
Yeah.
But that kind of mixed conditions, they're gonna prevail. Hopefully the drivers are able to figure out where they can put their cars to avoid the wetter parts of the track and really get the car to the outside of the track so that we can get some good tandem battles.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we get ready for our semi-finals then. Interesting to hear what the judges are saying. And in a sense, if you take an American judge in isolation, he's got no prejudice about this, has he? He's seeing people for the first time. It's a completely neutral stance that he can take in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got 3 judges from 3 different nations.
Yeah.
So, you know, you see it sometimes in other competitions. They go, oh, you favoured that driver because all the judges are from, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, all over the world in this case.
Yeah, all over the world. You know, they may well be cheering on their nation, but and they may have a favourite. But you've got to call it as you see it. And all judges, that's exactly what you do. You see what happens, you make notes, and that's how you justify your decisions.
This was a sport, wasn't it, that originated really in Japan?
Yeah, it started out on the streets in Japan, in the mountains.
And yet there's no Japanese presence.
There's not here. I'm surprised at that because there's a GT car here that's...
from Team Japan, yeah.
Team Japan, and, well, maybe for the next one, maybe they're watching and, you know, maybe we'll have a UK driver, maybe an Irish driver.
I mean, it's interesting to see the spread of nations that we have in this because, you know, there are very few countries here that have got representation across all 6 disciplines. Some do a couple, 1 or 2 perhaps only karting or esports, but, you know, this is very much, it seems, an Eastern Bloc area that you've got. Latvia,
Yeah,
Lithuania,
right.
Czech
We're right.
Republic,
Sort of where we are, it's easy for everyone to get to, you know, whereas if you were somewhere else, say if it was in America, you probably wouldn't get as many. If you held this event in Japan, you probably wouldn't get as many international drivers go to it because, you know, you've got to ship your car there, whereas here you can bunk it on a trailer. Okay, it may be 6, 7, 8, 10 hours drive.
But it's doable.
It's doable, yeah. You know, you and your team, if you've got a good team, you let them drive it. And you go in. Well, you're flying or you go in a comfortable car or something, you know. But other than that, you share your driving, you take it easy, and you sort of make an adventure of it. And, you know, it is a whole drifting family. And you'll find even guys from different nations, if they may meet up en route, you know. You get 3 different nation drivers going, oh, well, I'm going this route. oh, I'm going this route. Oh, we could, you know, I could divert slightly. And you've got a little convoy, and it is a real family, because anyone's got a problem, you'll see it go up on Facebook, you know. It may be, say in England, there'll be an Irish driver's come over and he's broke down, but he needs to get to the ferry port. And, you know, the shout out will go, anyone, you know, can take me to the ferry port. You get 10, 20 offers within no time. Another team will turn round, go and back. And it happens the other way. I was out in Ireland competing, clutch went in my van. What do? We'll get you to the ferry port. Got me to the ferry port, got towed on, got off the other side. Someone come and towed me home from the other side. You know, and that's what the community and the family that's involved in drifting really is like nothing else.
Is it an expensive branch of motorsport? I mean, granted, no motorsport's cheap, but you know, for a circuit racing season compared to a drifting season, are you talking comparable money or much cheaper?
Yeah, if you're funding it all out of your own pocket, you need deep pockets.
Right.
You know, as we said earlier, these guys are running semi-slick tyres. Now, let's say, for instance, a tyre's €100, because you haven't got a sponsor, €100. So you've got to put 2 tyres on for your first run. There's €200. That will do one more lap. There's €200 gone.
Right, yeah. So the actual investment in the car or entry fees or transportation isn't the killer, but something like tyres can be.
And then you've got, you know, all these cars are the top end of the cars. You know, you go from grassroots right up to the pinnacle of the sport, where they are 600, 700, 800 horsepower. They run sequential boxes because they're reliable. You're not going to miss gears. So they put all the right bits. They spend that little bit more money on them. Some of them won't run a conventional diff. They'll run what's called a winter's diff, which you can change ratios very easy, and they're very strong. So you rule out a breakage along there, like we saw with Brandy Brander earlier. He's broke a gearbox. It's a readily available gearbox, and you know, it may only be €300 against putting a €5,000 gearbox in. But that €5,000 gearbox will do 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. Probably never break.
Yeah.
You know, they do occasionally, you know, get guys break even the pinnacle of the equipment, but it's rare. So, you know, sometimes a bit of investment is worthwhile.
Now, the driver's currently going through the burnout zone, so they get some warmth into the tyres, and the point's been made about the fact the road is a little bit drier than it was. So through goes Michael Reichert. It's going to be Ilya Fedorov that will go against him. Is there a set amount of time that you are allowed to do burnouts, or is it purely down to the driver?
Normally it's watched by, sort of, if you like, someone in the know, and they'll go, right, you've got, don't take the mick, you know, you've been there long enough, come on, out you go.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is you don't want to be sitting there forever, because if you take forever, as I said earlier, if I'm waiting to go into that burnout box and you're out there for 3 minutes, I'm going to be in there for 3 minutes, even if I'm not doing as warm a tyres as you are, because I'm going to leave you on the start line. Yeah. Make me sit there forever, I'll make you sit there forever, and your tyres are going cold. So you've got to be a bit of a sportsman about it, you know, no need to be underhanded. At the end of the day, you want to win because you're the best.
How much tyre temperature do you need, bearing in mind that we often think, for circuit racing purposes, the warmer the grippier? Now, you don't want too much grip because you're not going to slide.
Right, well, that's the sort of a bit of a misnomer. You actually want as much grip normally as you can, because it propels the car forwards.
Right.
So although you're sliding, when you've got 600, 700, 800 horsepower, it's quite easy to break traction.
Okay.
And then maintain the traction. But it's a fine balance of tyre pressures and suspension settings to get the right amount of grip that propels you forward, but doesn't straighten you because you've got too much grip.
I'm with you, I think. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
So imagine if you've got a load of grip in your car and you're only running 8 psi, and even after the burnout it's 12 psi, and you come around the corner and you get a little bit of a dry patch and your car's really grippy, when it comes to that dry section it's going to grip up even more. So with this tonight's conditions, you're rolling the dice. You know, how much grip do I dial in the car? Because the first bend has looked very good. It looks like we're getting tyre smoke, and then into section 2. But here we go, we're on our way.
It's Russia to lead, and it is the Czech Republic to chase. So Fedorov for Russia, Reichert for the Czech Republic. You're familiar with them now. We've seen them before over the course of last night's qualifying and the run-off so far this evening, and they are close.
Yeah, Fedorov is doing a great line. Reichert is in the chase. He knows he's got no grip here. Does he play it safe? He comes in a bit tentative, and this is where Fedorov could pull a one. Reichert's got to get on it. They both get out to that zone. As you can see, there's a little bit of separation. Fedorov is off and running. Does Reichert cut the track to make up a little bit of proximity? He doesn't. He stays out there, but it's a consistent gap. So what started off very promising, and again, as soon as they get down to that zone 2, that outer zone 2 at the hairpin, if you can't get your car to grip up there, you're in trouble. But it may be that if he puts too much grip in, his car's going to straighten at 1 and out through 3, 4, 5. So as you watch again, Fedorov pitches it in, Reichardt up along in the pocket, here he comes. Just left, a little bit of dab on the left foot brake, right in the pocket there, just up on the rear quarter, just what the judges have asked for. Gets ready for the transition. Fedorov just slid in. Reichardt, look, he's having to dab the brake, he's got left foot brake on. His car appears to have no grip there, and then Fedorov just absolutely starts pulling. Out to 5. In comes Reichardt. See the car just wavering about a little bit. I think he's got a little bit of a balance issue getting it right. He's having to rely on not putting too much grip on because his car's straightening in the areas, and when he goes down to 2, he hasn't got any grip.
So let's see what he does then as the alternative lane, where we switch lead and chase. Judges, there you can see discussing, deliberating.
Yeah, you see the notes they're making, and he's pointing out, look, I saw this here and here and here. Because someone, even though there's 3 of you, one of you might notice something. You go, yeah, but look at this, and you look at the replay. Oh, yeah. That hence why we have 3 pairs of eyes up there.
Absolutely right. Right. So change lanes. So Reichardt will lead for the Czech Republic. Fedorov will chase for Russia. And as the door closes, the thumbs up, the green flag drops now, and we're in business.
Reichardt out, starting blocks. Here comes Fedorov. Can he make some inroads? Lose a little bit of ground. He knows he's got grip in that car. Reichardt all the way out. Fedorov not as close as Reichardt was, but he's on a good line. We know this car's got grip. Come on, Fedorov, you need to get up there. Reichardt making a good lead line here. This is where he has no grip. Fedorov dives in a little bit. Can he get the proximity? Because he needs to get the proximity for making that dive. He's a little bit closer, and this is where his car's very grippy. Reichardt all the way out in 5. Fedorov a little bit on the inside. Then to make the transition back. Oh,
again, it's going to be tough for the judges, isn't it?
Yeah, they're going to be, comparing their notes, lead to lead, chase to chase. And they're going to be checking the other camera angles. Yeah. They do have a much better view than sadly what we have.
So Czech Republic has the lead this time.
Yeah, I was expecting Fedorov to be a lot closer. He doesn't. He stays back here.
Looks across, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can see him looking. Reichardt doing nothing wrong out front. Stays all on his own. Fedorov comes out a little bit early, and that pulls him off that outer zone just here. But he's trying to do it to gain proximity, which was okay with the judges. He said that as long as you gain proximity, he's made some inroads.
Doesn't necessarily use as much of the width of the road there, but keeps the proximity, as you say.
Keeping the proximity, and through that section of the double transition.
Almost has to anchor up there, though.
Yeah.
It's a bit too close, maybe, on the inside. Right there, judges. How do you read that one? Let's see in a moment whether they've got a definitive answer for us. Anything that goes left or right is good, in the middle is bad, because it means we've got to go again. Reichardt, the Czech Republic driver, goes into the final, and that really wasn't necessarily expected, because last night he was 9th at the end, only 9th of the 16 that went through. This could be a real surprise victor, because now he's going to be in the final.
Yeah, and knocks out one of my drivers. Not really one of my drivers, but a driver I had money on, another couple of euros. I think I must have jinxed him. But meanwhile, we've got the local man up. I'm sure he's got a lot of support here. As the sheriff, yeah, the sheriff in his brand new car. I mean, this has got to be amazing. You jump in a car and you're already in. You're getting further and further in, and it's all to play for. You're learning this car as you go along. Thumbs up. Elliott to lead.
So the Ukraine takes on Italy.
Elliott pitches it in. Sheriff up on the rear quarter, needs to get a little bit closer. On comes the front brake light. We know he's left foot braking.
See how The rain has eased. Yes, it's still slippy out there, but it's not a wash like it was earlier on, except down at this corner. It's always treacherous, and Sherifo almost slides towards the Ukraine, has to almost stop there.
Yeah, he came off a line to try and make some proximity, but in doing so, there's no grip there, and you almost lose as much as you gain. So, for making the gamble, it doesn't look like it's massively paid off. In fact, look at the gap. From our cameras, it looks a big gap. It's not a unchaseable run. It's not an incomplete, because he was still within a decent distance.
So, they'll swap lanes in a moment, but let's have another look at it. So for the Ukraine, Dmitry Ilyuk blasted away in the Nissan, up through the gears. The chasing Italian Toyota slots in behind the Sheriff then. Couldn't get totally sideways there because he was almost a bit close to the back of the Nissan, so it was a better angle potentially from Ilyuk there for the Ukraine.
Yeah, I think the Sheriff was expecting him just a little bit quicker, that little bit more angle, and it just, you know, but that's, nothing says you can't do that. That's how he drives. That's what your spotters should have been telling you, that he doesn't run massive angle on the way in. Ilyuk is relatively consistent, although, as I said earlier, he can be an all-or-nothing driver. But here, Flames absolutely bellowing out that Monster Energy machine.
Pendulum's his way up to the finish of the run.
A little bit of a shimmy there from the Sheriff in the background. You just see his car just miss a little bit, and that's the little bits that the...
And also he lost proximity towards the end.
Yeah, lost a little bit of proximity, so that dive hadn't paid off later on. So here we go, just look at this visibility. He gets up, just checks up. I think he thought he was going to run into him now. Sort of, not panic, but you do. You don't say you panic, but you do panic. Ilyuk running plenty of angle, transitions across, and here comes the Sheriff. He's going to dive to try and get in. He's having to look quite a way to the right there, because he's quite a way in, but he's got some proximity back.
He didn't have the wipers on again, which might be deliberate, might be there's a failure in the mechanism. Yeah, exactly. Right, they'll swap lanes now. So the Sheriff, Federico Sherifo, will lead. Dmitry Ilyuk will chase. And the great majesty in that photograph, Federico Sherifo,
that
might be justified.
Race, so.
Might just be justified, if he
away
win
we
this.
go.
So could we get the Czech Republic and Italy in the final? Let's see as we get semi-final 2 underway.
Yep, so the Sheriff fires it in. That's definitely one wheel off, possibly two there. The judges have got a much better view. Ilyuk not too far away, almost backed off there because I think he thought the Sheriff was going off. But here comes Ilyuk. He's got quite good grip down in this corner. We know the Sheriff's had problems. Both make it round. Ilyuk just on the inside ever so slightly because he's trying to maintain some ground. Now along here, the judges didn't want the cars side by side. They were happy nose to tail because the track is so narrow along there. So a lot of people might go, oh, wind out on the door and then drop back and then back on the door. The judges said there's no need for that. Nose to tail is fine along there because we want you out into the zones.
So then, we'll get a replay of that. The Sheriff, Federico Sherifo, this time as the leader. Dmitry Ilyuk for the Ukraine doing the chasing, but it's the pressure on now because this is, of course, this knockout tournament where we say goodbye to one of them. Do we get the Czech Republic and the Ukraine or Italy in the final? Well, it certainly one. I still think 2 wheels off for the Sheriff there.
Yeah, I'm calling 1 because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So
I thought it was 2 for Riker. He got through from earlier on, didn't he? And
well,
there again, flirting with disaster, the Ukraine.
We know that the judges are right up high and they can look down on that very first bend, so they have a much better view than us.
Well, Sherifo's had a charmed life in this. He's had his 5-minute repair time. He got through, even though it was kind of on fewer mistakes rather than a good performance earlier on. And can he be in the final?
Yeah, and when we've seen the in-car shots, there we go. Look, there's some of the extra cameras.
Yeah.
That's just some of them. They can rotate through them. Ah, is that all of them? Okay, that may well be all of the views that the judges have, but it's an extra ones that we haven't got.
And there's our picture to the right. So they've got those 4 cameras, plus the feed that everybody else is looking at. So they've got to split their eyes across quite a lot. Plus, if they want to, look at naturally.
Yeah.
Now, do we get a result? Italy or Ukraine for the final?
Who's your money on? Quick.
Ukraine. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see.
You've got to get out of here alive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Right. The judges say Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine.
there we are. I think you should
I could be
start
a judge,
judging.
couldn't I?
Yeah, I'm no longer needed. Good night, everyone. See you later.
Don't say that.
Back to the UK I go.
Right, so it's Ukraine versus the Czech Republic. Another surprise, perhaps. Ilyuk goes through, but that was a decent enough run. So the Czech Republic takes on the Ukraine. Now, our third place battle, of course, is going to be Italy versus Russia, isn't it now?
Yeah, this could be, well, this could be quite an interesting battle because Sheriff might be upset that he hasn't gone through, and he might go, "Rah!" get
You
really
reckon?
angry, you know, and go 10 kilometres faster everywhere that could cause problems. And we know the Russian car has got good grip in it and good pace. So
Yeah.
if he pulls away, we might see the Sheriff panic a little bit and try and chase in Fedorov. And then when you come down to that zone 2, if you're going too quick, there's only one place you're going, as we see the couple of cars up the bank there.
Well, Fedorov for Russia taking on Sharifo.
Yeah, we've just got the graphics up on the screen.
And the cars will be there shortly. So the third place runoff is Italy versus Russia. The final is the Czech Republic against the Ukraine now.
Right, they may well run the third and fourth place first before going to first and second. Let's hear what the judges have got to say.
We would not want to be standing in your shoes right now. They have some super tough decisions. Everyone made little mistakes here and there. What's your thoughts about the last battles?
Yeah, the last battles were incredible, mainly by the fans who are here. We can hear the emotions around us, and that's great about drifting, you know. It's when we hear that cheering, it's really, really nice.
Are you getting ready for this third place battle between Russia and Italy? Those who've been fighting all night long.
Yeah, both drivers really wants to get the third place, so they will be fighting very hard. So we are really eager to see that.
We're going to ask you a bit of a cheeky question. Who have you guys got your eye on as the better driver?
I would not say. It's super hard. Like, both drivers have their really good moments. Both drivers are having their mistakes. So we'll see.
Exactly. Ryan, do you want to come over here? I'm going to call you over here. Yes, you are. Super tricky conditions tonight. What do you think is the toughest corner? What have you been watching out for, really? Which clipping points? What have everyone been sort of missing?
Well, the really difficult part on this track is outside zone 2. They're coming from outside zone 1, which is a nice sweeping corner that is not that difficult once you get the car set to angle, but transitioning from outside zone 1 to 2 has proven to be a pretty difficult one. The track's pretty narrow through there, and it's a long straight, so the cars have to hang as long as they can on outside zone 1 before they transition for 2, but then they have to slow down aggressively because it is a really tight hairpin. So you can see a lot of drivers locking up the front wheels as they go in there on the handbrake because they need to have momentum from 1 to 2, but then they have to slow the car down pretty aggressively. So it's an area that is pretty tricky. I think that's the area we've seen the most off course. The grass there's destroyed from all the cars that went off in practice, but that is the toughest part on this track. Once you get through there, it's on throttle, some nice smooth transitions through to the finish line. So if the drivers can get through there smoothly, typically they're able to get through to the finish okay.
And obviously with these conditions right now, the chasing car is going to have to really do its a good job to try and keep that proximity. Are you guys really worried about proximity, or are you looking more at the line?
Well, the lead driver, since they set the tone, the chase driver needs to mimic what they're doing. If the lead driver is doing a good job, the chase driver is expected to do a good job. That's why the lead is so important. If the lead is poor, then we expect the chase to be poor. If the lead's really strong, that puts a lot of pressure on the chase car to be strong as well.
Exactly. Let's see how we do in the top 3.
That's the map of the course once again. Just to remind you, it is outside zone 2 where people have been coming to grief.
Yeah, as I say, we had that first decel area up into zone 1. Everyone's making out of zone 1, nice and easy. Transition across the track. When they get into that outside zone 2, that decel area is like ice all the way along there, and they're either overshooting or they're transitioning ever so slightly early and coming in to try and get some proximity back. So that's where the majority of the mistakes are. That's the boo-balls bend. Yeah, like Ryan said, that's where most of the mistakes have been.
We also see on that map as well how more of an arc, the first corner is. It's a much tighter second corner. So you go from a long, flowing corner into there, that really tight second corner that caught out Riker early on. But yeah, he went through.
Yes.
Judge is busy deciding. We've lost both of these two, effectively. Russia in the third place battle, but Norway long gone. Same for Belarus. We lost Nagula early in the contest tonight.
Yeah, visibility absolutely atrocious. Down into two, hear the cars come off throttle and just slide. There is no grip down now.
Ukraine versus Finland. Ukraine went through, so this is our third place battle, part one. Fedorov will lead and Sharifo will chase. It's Russia versus Italy for the third place battle.
Who's your money on?
Fedorov for this. I'm
Yeah.
surprised he's gone, actually. Yeah, because he's been looking really good all
He
night,
has,
but-
yeah. In the wet, he's been super smooth and consistent. You know, still had very good pace in the car. It is only a little SR20 4-cylinder 2-litre job in that.
Yeah.
It's probably bigger than 2 litre now. It's maybe a 2.2.
We're in business. Russia takes on Italy. This will be part one of the third place runoff.
Fedorov to pitch it in. Here comes the Sheriff.
Bang, into the side of it.
Nudges in, but it doesn't phase.
Oh.
Oh, yes. I was just about to say it didn't phase Fedorov, but then his car shot off. I'm just wondering if that
Something
broke
might
something.
yeah.
May well have broken something on the back there.
He's going to try and dig himself out of the
Try and dig
gravel. Wet
himself
gravel
out.
compact, so he might get out of that. But now Sharifo's off the road as well.
Yeah, which just shows how little grip there is even further around the corner.
Now, what do we do now? Is that run null and void?
Well, the Sheriff didn't need to... If Fedorov had gone off on his own, the Sheriff didn't need to finish off drifting. He could have just driven round because it's an incomplete from the lead driver, you know. But there was a good bit of contact. You can see the damage on the back wheel there. The judge is going to have to look at that. Was the contact severe enough to push Fedorov off, or did Fedorov go nudge? Oh, I'm going off.
There you go. Here's the replay. Let's have a look.
It looked like it was a good hit. There's one.
That's a big whack.
There's one. I'm sure there was another one coming. Get ready. There.
Yeah.
And that's it. Off you go.
2 strikes.
Into the corner pocket.
Right, what do the judges reckon? Another look from the outside of the corner. So Fedorov gets it sideways, yes, but Sharifo arrives seemingly
Comes
with
in
so
too
much
hot.
pace,
Yep.
he can't slow down. Bang, that was quite a whack. And here's the second one. It's not quite so hard, but it's still an impact.
It's
But
enough to throw you offline and throw the steering out of your hand. Looked like the Sheriff just come in a little bit too hot. There is a decel zone there, so the lead driver is allowed to slow down because he's initiating. He's putting the car to angle.
I was going to try and eavesdrop on that, but Sharifo comes back to the line. But Fedorov's car, well, he's got 5 minutes repair time if he needs it, hasn't he?
If he needs it, he can call a 5-minute rule. But if, oh, look at the rear wheel. That's bent or broken some suspension. It looks like it's got a bit of positive camber on that wheel all of a sudden. From that camera view, it'd be good if we can get another look at that, or when it comes around the corner we might see it. Sort of almost exaggerates how much negative it's got on the front. That rear wheel looked like it was tipped in at the top. Hence why he's probably limping it back. I reckon that's got some damage. He's going to have... But now, if it's deemed that the Sheriff is at fault, he will get what's called a competition timeout, which is enough time to fix his car. Normally it's 10 minutes. So he gets 10 minutes because it's not his fault for the damage.
There's the replay of the first whack.
There's
Here's
one,
the
and
second.
here comes the second. Oh, it's an
I still
interesting...
think Fedorov's car was going to go into that gravel anyway, because it was coming back. Yes, it hit the Sheriff again, but I think the angle would have probably had him off anyway.
I'm glad we're not judging, aren't you?
Yes, I am actually, because that's a tough one.
Yeah. And
First impact, I would say yes, the Sheriff was at fault. The second one, I think Fedorov's car was sort of coming back with the correction.
He'll have it from a different angle.
So have a look. Not this one. So look, the back's going to come round. Look, it's already starting to go left before the second contact.
Yeah, Fedorov slows quite a bit there after the first impact.
I think he was going off anyway.
But
are going to wait for this fix to happen before we go to the next battle. We don't want to do the finals.
Sounds like they're going to allow him to fix the car.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next battle, which is right, of course, because you want to see third and fourth before you see first and second.
Absolutely. So he'll get, what, 5 minutes or 10?
If it's a competition, if he's called a timeout, it's 5 minutes. If they're deeming it it's the sheriff's fault, it's normally 10 minutes, but...
+5 or just 10?
No, just a 10, but you can then go, when you get to the end of the 10, I'm calling my 5 minutes because I haven't used it.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, it could be quite a bit of damage under there. It might be a bent arm that they haven't got, so it's a case of taking half the suspension apart, taking an arm off, doing what you can to straighten it, whether it be with a hammer, you know, driving a truck over it or something.
So 5 minute repair time on that Russian car. We'll see if we can have a look in the shelter, in the little area in the paddock.
It sounds like it's been a competition timeout being 5 minutes as opposed to he's called his competition timeout rather than being allotted it through the sheriff's fault.
Right.
But don't quote me on that because I haven't got the full rules. You know, it's pages and pages for this event because it is an FIA event. So some of it has been ever so slightly different to other events that I have commented on and been at. But nonetheless, the drivers have done absolutely outstanding because conditions here, well, they have been absolutely something else. We've got an ice rink at one end of the track, a grippy bend to start and a grippy bend at the end.
Yeah.
And who knows what in between.
If Sharifo sits on the line, does he think, I might have a case to answer in that, or does he think, no, I was completely innocent, Russian driver got it wrong, not my fault, Gov, I'm
well,
fine.
his spotter should have found out. His spotter should be the one getting the information. So here we go, on the front bumper of the Sheriff. Fedorov is going to appear on our left. There he is, going to pitch it in. He's got to do. Bang. Bang. Yeah.
Tough one, isn't it?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's getting that, you know, different camera angles and different views. You know, the judges are up high. Comes down to there, no grip again. You just hear the car just wash all the way out. Yeah, I wouldn't have liked to have deemed whose fault that might be. You know,
No,
the first hit definitely looked like the Sheriff.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit too hot. I'm not sure if Fedorov wasn't there, if the Sheriff would have even made the bend. He may well have just gone straight off. He looked like he had a good bit of pace in him.
Interesting as well, I mean, we're looking at Fedorov at the moment in terms of taking this 5 minute repair time, but Sharifo may have picked up damage as well. 2 impacts on his car, and he can't call repair time. He's done that already.
He's used it. So, you know, but we've seen some in-car from Sheriff, and he doesn't look like he's got any vibration. So whatever was bothering him earlier, it was worth taking that 5 minute because it's got him to here. Now, if he has damaged anything, you've got to suck it and see. You know, just if the car's pulling to the left or to the right, or it's got a vibration in it, well, it's your last run of the day. You've just got to roll the dice and have a go. So here we are, Dan in the pits.
It's not frantic work, is it?
No, it's jacked up, wheels off disc. Driver's not looking at all happy.
So Fedorov then, Ilya Fedorov. That's got the general feeling of forget it.
Yeah, he looks so despondent. But then we saw that earlier with the Sheriff. You know, his crash helmet off, and he was sort of so dejected. And the next thing we saw, he was in the car and he was ready to go out. But this isn't looking promising. Oh, a shrug of the shoulders. Maybe they can't fix that. Maybe it's a part they haven't got a spare. You know, and it's a bit more complicated. You've got 5 minutes to take what will take a garage, you know, 3 hours to take apart. You've got to get it apart, straighten it, and get it back on. I don't understand Russian, so I've got no idea what they're saying. I'm sure we've got some Russian people watching who probably can eavesdrop in on that and they know what's being said.
I can't see a clock either, so now the bonnet goes up. They're not doing anything. There's a lot of looking, but there's not much doing.
Cars seems to...
Well, he's walking away from it. That, to my eyes, would say
Yeah,
we're out.
all intents and purposes looks like a completely dejected driver who's saying, I can't fix that. You know, that's it. Almost looks like he's retiring from the event. You know, you never ever want to go out due to a bit of contact, especially if, whether it is or not your fault, if you believe it's not your fault, it's even worse, you know, because you're like, that guy's put me out.
Well, we're not walked away from it yet, but it looks like the Sheriff is going to go through for third place, doesn't it?
It's certainly looking that way because it just doesn't look to be any hands-on.
Right, do the judges know more because they've got a man on the ground? Dakota is there.
Ryan, now give us a little bit of an explanation behind your decisions.
Yeah, right now we're going through the rule book, which we have here, to make sure that we're adhering to what we have written in the rules for a situation like this. In different series around the world, they will handle this situation in certain ways. In the FIA rule book, we have it written that the driver that is at fault for damage like this to the other driver will be held responsible for the damage caused to the other car. In this case, the car that has been damaged was not at fault. That car is given a competition timeout, so 5 minutes to fix his car. If he's not able to fix the car within that time, due to the fact that it was not his fault, he is given the win for that battle. So in this case, the competition timeout is almost up. Oh, I just heard over the radio that it actually just ran out. So in this situation, following the rules, the car that is not at fault, even though it was damaged, will be deemed the winner. So that means Fedorov will get the win in this situation. Federico Sciarrifo was deemed at fault for that collision, for being a little too aggressive and coming in and crashing with him. So Federico will get 4th place, Fedorov will get 3rd place.
And there you have it, guys. The result is in. Let's move on to the final battle. Thank you very much, Ryan.
I'm sure that's going to be split amongst many of our people online and people in the crowd. You know,
drivers.
Yeah, and some drivers. Me as a driver, if I get nudged off track and I can't fix my car in the allotted time and it's his fault, well, you know, you could do that every run and take a driver out and get through. You know, build your car like out of concrete and keep nudging people off. Sounds fair to me.
Rules is rules.
Rules are rules. It's in the rule book that everybody's got. They've all been sent out numerous emails with any updates and stuff.
So there's confirmation of it. David, Ryan and Vernon all say Fedorov for 3rd.
I did say that man would get on the podium, didn't I?
You did. You did. Don't think we predicted it in that way.
No. I thought it was going to be, you know, just down to his driving.
Yeah.
You know, no driver wants to win like that. I don't care who you are, where you compete. Nobody wants to go through by default. You want to win because you're the best driver. You don't want to be taken out. And here we go. We're going to see it again. It is a very decent impact.
I mean, irrespective of the second one, this is the one that triggered it all. Fedorov's done nothing wrong at that point. Yeah. Maybe the car was going to slide off anyway at that stage. Maybe, but the impact that triggered it was Sciarifo's fault.
Yeah, and that first impact is probably what broke the suspension, which then made the car behave the way it did. It looked like it was coming back because it's got no control on what that rear wheel's doing. Imagine, you know, it's like a shopping trolley. That shopping trolley you get at the supermarket, and it's got that wheel that wants to do everything, and it pulls you everywhere around the supermarket, no matter how you push it. I reckon that's what's happened there.
Well, Sciarifo, I don't think, is taking kindly to this. He's still sitting on the line.
Yeah, he's not going to be a happy man. Italians very passionate.
Yeah.
You know, and they love their motorsport. The crowd, you know, are here cheering everyone on. But I would say he's probably got a very, very big fan base here.
Well, wherever the start line judge has gone, there he is. He's about to have to deliver the message. And we can move on to the final.
Yep, and it looks like it's stopped raining. Poor start line marshal probably isn't going to dry out until tomorrow morning.
At best, yeah. Right, come on, Federico, you're out. We need the cars for the final, so
go and do a lap, and you know, for your fans.
Yeah,
do a lap for your fans. Do a bit of showboating or something, and then we get the final on. He may be protesting it. He may be saying, "Hang on a minute, I don't agree." You know, that there may be within the rule book that he's allowed to protest. And there you heard it.
He's going to protest it.
I think he's either going to protest it or he's going to be peeved. in not such a polite term.
So the message is being delivered by the start line judge.
Yeah, just letting him get ready to see if there's any anger within the car. So maybe a little bit of a showboating lap, you know, or not. Maybe he's that peeved that he's just going to drive around, maybe wave to the crowd.
No, not much waving going on, is there? Arguably, he was pretty fortunate to get this far through the competition, but no, this is a drive back. There's no showboating going on in this.
Yeah, without doubt, he has got better lap after lap after lap. You know, at the start, we were like, oh, crikey, this is, you know, really, really sketchy at the start, but it was a brand new car, and the mechanics have been working on it every time he's come back in, and trying to adjust things, but, you know, that's a totally different chassis to what he's using, and it's a very small car compared to what he's used to.
Right, in he comes, so that should open up the road for the final, because the Czech Republic will take on the Ukraine. It's effectively one event now, but 2 runs, of course, lead and chase. That's the Ukraine entry on the grid. Dmitry Ilyuk is there. Where is the Czech Republic's representation? Mikhail Reichert, who has been a real surprise. Here he is. So we are just about ready for the final showdown of drifting.
So it's going to be Ilyuk to lead.
So then you've got the Ukrainian driver as the leader, the former drag racer, former rally competitor, and winner in the Drift King International in Hungary this year against Czech Drift Series and Masters Europe Drift competitor Michael Reichert. Who's your money on?
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to rain again. Look, I think this is one of them that it's going to be either really close or very obvious.
Right, we're ready. The final of the FIA Motorsport Games Drifting Cup is go. It's the Ukraine versus the Czech Republic. Ukraine leads.
Ilyuk away, firing out flames. In comes Reichert. He's got to get up close and personal. Come on, Reichert, you've got to catch Ilyuk. He just comes offline, tries to make some inroads, which he's getting. He's getting a proximity up onto the rear quarter. We're getting into that dodgy section. Here they come into zone 2. We know there's no grip. Reichert comes charging in. Can he keep the momentum and keep the grip? Right? No, Reichert just drops back ever so slightly. Ilyuk's got some pace in that car.
Range getting heavier, grip levels changing all the way around the run.
Get ready for this corner. Look, it's still got some smoke from the tyres. Not massively. Here comes Reichert. Going to get up on the side of Ilyuk. Oh,
that's close.
That's close. There's some mistakes from both drivers, again, as we've seen, but conditions are changing again. Just as it looked like it was going to be dry, it's absolutely pouring down. The other side of the track compared to here is absolutely pouring down. So look, Ilyuk throws it in. In comes Reichert. Got to get some proximity. Just comes off the line slightly so he can get up close. Left foot brakes. There he is, right on the rear quarter. What the judges wanted. Gets ready for transition. Leaves enough space. Doesn't want to get caught up. Ilyuk in the correct place. Out in the zone. In comes Reichert. Makes a dive. Just drops off a little bit. Ilyuk perfectly online, but here comes Reichert. It's going to make a dive for this. Makes it out to the zones. Ilyuk spitting flames left, right and centre. Here comes Reichert for this dive. He's making up some ground right at the final zone. He is absolutely alongside.
So that was a good run, seemingly from Reichert. And he's another one that's had a charmed life in this. You know, he didn't look great at the start of the evening, but he's got better and better. The judges...
Yeah, a couple of them, we thought he was gone.
Well, absolutely. The judge is still busy deliberating that.
Yeah,
right,
making
change
notes
lanes.
of their mistakes. Getting ready to compare lead to lead, chase to chase.
Then we have like how many one more times we need. Because in final we have infinite number of one more times.
We're just saying they could go one more time, as many times as need be.
Yeah.
Crikey, we could be here late. You've been here a long time today.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Right then, they change lanes. Reichert for the Czech Republic versus Ilyuk for the Ukraine. The fact that they are already talking about one more time suggests that they've all identified errors there.
Yes, exactly. That tells you that they've gone, look, he's made some errors in the chase. He's made some errors in the lead. it's got to be clear cut this time, or could we see her one more time? There's, you know, it's resulted in that because of these conditions today. I'm sure if it had been dry, it would have been, we would have seen much closer battles. As in practice, as I say, these guys were inches apart.
You've got to feel for the drifters,
yeah,
because they've always caught the worst of the weather, haven't they? Green flag drops then. This is the last run, we think. Reichert versus Iliuk, Czech Republic versus Ukraine. Can we get a winner out of this run and not have to go one more time? Reichert's really sideways. Look at the proximity from Iliuk for the Ukraine, because he is right there.
Yeah, Iliuk is on the mission. He knows he's got to put it on him. Just drops back, leaves him enough space to transition. In comes Iliuk again. That car's got good grip. Reihart messes up, which affects Iliuk just there. You saw it. Iliuk not phased too much, gets back on it. It's okay being nose to tail along here. We know they can't be side to side. It's not wide enough. Just comes offline because he's going to try and gain some more proximity. Because he did drop back. Here comes Iliuk. Not massively close, but there or thereabouts at the end.
Right, so who did better? You've judged it in the past.
That's a good question.
It is. And the answer would be for the judges, you're going to tell me. Here's the replay of it. Let's have another look.
Yeah, so...
Where are the mistakes? Point out the mistakes to me.
Right, Reihart out front, good initiation. Iliuk initiates earlier. Gets right up close and personal. Look, he's gaining ground. He's actually right up alongside. Perfect. Just holds back, gives Reihart enough room to transition. Does so. Both cars transition. Iliuk comes in, Reihart washes there, look, and then stalls. That stalls Iliuk, which makes him drop back. Reihart,
so that's Reichert's fault?
That's what I would call that as Reichert's fault.
Yeah.
Iliuk is there or thereabouts. He's lost the momentum that he gained through Reihart. So Iliuk, again, comes just offline because he wants to gain back some proximity, which he's allowed to do, and he does get some relative proximity back again.
So, would you lean towards the Ukraine or the Czech Republic? It's a tough one, I know, and the judges are going to make sure here, thanks for your help there, the judges are going to make sure that before anything is committed, they are absolutely sure. There's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of pointing,
yeah, you heard them saying on the inside there, so, you know, what may look a straightforward decision here, say they've got those other views and they are up high and on top of the track. This could go one more time.
Yeah. Well, there's Iliuk, the angry bird on the side of the car.
Yeah, from what we just saw, I would be tempted to go for Iliuk.
He's arguably looked the stronger out of the two all night, but look at that. Now it's sort of biting of nails, sucking of pens and thumbs, and they're not. And
they're still making notes and talking to each other, so, you know. But it looks like there's some decisions gone in. I think this could be one more time.
One more time.
We heard it.
There you go.
We heard it.
So the judges talk to the start line officials and say we'll go again. There it is, it's split.
Oh, yeah.
2-1.
Two saying one more time, one going for Dmitry Iliuk. Yeah, that's obviously, that was my vote.
Yeah, quite, yeah.
It's not, I can assure you, as you've seen tonight, I've often called it wrong. I'm going to apologise now for those names that I have pronounced incorrectly. I know I've done quite a few times. I've tried not to talk too much.
The judges don't try and sway one another, of course, in looking at all of this, do they? If somebody can't decide, well, fair enough, we'll go again until you can. Yeah. They don't say, well, yeah, but have you considered this? I mean, they're independent.
Yeah, they will discuss, you know, but do you think his error was worth more than his? And that's why you've got three pairs of eyes, and they will discuss it, and you're never overturned by another judge. You're never influenced, but they may well have spotted something that you haven't. You know, there is always that possibility. You are only one pair of eyes. That's why we have three and all the cameras.
All the cameras, yeah. Right, so one more time. We didn't get a result out of it. We go again. And the Czech Republic versus the Ukraine. Again, they have to lead and chase, so it's 2 runs. But
yeah, so they may well go back and put another pair of tyres on. They may run them tyres again. So as we just watch this again, Reihart out of the box. In comes Iliuk. Iliuk's got some pace in this car. Pitches it in. Watch the inroads he made here.
I mean, that is absolutely, to the untrained eye, perfection.
Yeah, he would have been better just slightly back a little bit, because he's actually too far alongside for what the judges wanted. But as long as he drops back and doesn't impede the lead driver, Reihart makes that mistake there that impedes Iliuk. But then I get a feeling there's another mistake coming up on this corner from Iliuk here, where he dives inside there. is massively offline, but he is chasing on proximity. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one. From
And
the
you can see why
views
the
that we
judges
have
done what they've done.
Yeah, yeah. Elliot absolutely spitting flames out of everywhere of that car.
So is this our one more time in business? The road looks like it's drier here, as Elliot then will lead.
So, yeah,
So this is our
right
second time.
I just went quiet there because I wanted to listen if both cars were off throttle, and they were. But Elliot was on just a little bit earlier. I think he's, as I say before, he's got a bit more grip in that car. Elliot just pulling away, but Reinhardt isn't a million miles away, especially under these conditions. He's cut the corner there a little bit to get the proximity, which he gets back. Oh, again, there's some mistakes from both drivers. I'm glad we're not judging.
It is tough, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you sympathise with them. And,
Yeah,
and again, although it's 3 judges and they are experts, it's a human element to this. It's not technology judging it. One judge might think that an error is to be penalised more than another judge. You might have a harder or stricter judge than others.
Yeah, but on general, what we tend to do is during practice and all that, you would stand together and you would liaise with each other. You know, if you were scoring out of 10 in battles, you'd say, oh, that was a 6-4, that was a... So you know you're on the same page. And if you know one judge is a little bit harsher, well, you know he's just that little bit harsher. Some of us are a little bit stricter at times, you know. As they said yesterday in qualifying, they had to be a little bit lenient because of the weather conditions. They was allowing a little bit of straightening because of the puddles and etc.
So we've got one more go. This is where they will change lanes the next time they come to the line. So will this give us a result? The judges are ready. Almost run out of ink in the pens, but they are ready. Radio call to the start line judge.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting.
And so we wait, we wait, we wait. The cars come back to the line. So this will determine whether or not we get a result out of our second run, with the lanes changed for now the Czech Republic to lead and the Ukraine to chase.
Or will we get one more time?
Possibly.
You know, they did say it could go several times. You know, several times, and with these very treacherous conditions, track, you know, it looks like it stopped raining in places, but then we go back to there and it's raining.
Right, green flag drops. Ukraine accelerates. Czech Republic, the big BMW of Michael Reichert goes now.
Yeah, pulls a little bit away from Elliot. Elliot needs to get on this right out. He's got a bit of space here. Come on, Elliot, you need to make some inroads here.
Good angle, but the proximity is gone.
Yeah,
there's what can he do to claw that back?
But maybe he's just holding back a little bit because he knows that Reinhardt struggles here. Can Elliot make the dive? Here he comes.
He's closer. The angle's not great, but the proximity is better.
Yeah, he's got the proximity back.
And now he's very close indeed.
Definitely had one wheel off there. And out of nowhere comes Elliot way up alongside. You couldn't even see him then because they were nose to tail as they transitioned. I was just waiting to see if he was going to go off track, but he stayed on. I was expecting Elliot to go completely off on the grass then. Couldn't pay me enough to judge this.
I'm sitting here thinking, who did the better run? And it's a hard one.
Yeah, because you've got to compare lead to lead, chase to chase. Reinhardt out of the box, pulls a huge distance, runs all the way through that outer zone. Elliot doing exactly the same. He's out there. It's not quite as deep as Reinhardt, but he's in the zone. Both drivers transitioning. Reinhardt, we know this car doesn't appear to have much grip here, and as you can see, he slides in, literally slides in, gets back on the throttle. Elliot makes inroads. Reinhardt definitely one wheel off there, definitely one. We know they've got a better camera angle there, and then bang, in comes Elliot, charging in, making inroads, using all that grip he's got, and gets right up alongside Reinhardt.
Right then, judges, do your stuff. Ponder, scribble, decide, deliberate, give us a winner. The Drifting Cup here at the FIA Motorsport Games resolved this evening. This is the end of the competition, but for whom will it be glory and for whom will it be disappointment?
Yeah, looks like they're going to go and shake hands. Nice, very sportingly, you know, good sportsman in the drifting. You see that a lot.
Do we have a result, or is it going to be another one more time?
Yeah, but they might not announce the winner until they're in front of the podium, so we may have to wait until the cars get in front of the podium for them to announce who's going to win.
So they want to have a look at the second run again. So this is the replay of it, so they can have another look. So here we go.
Right,
what are we looking for here?
Away he goes, got a bit of distance. Initiates right up deep here. Ilya almost as deep, not quite, but he's within the zone. Reinhardt maintains the same distance. Ilya is going to have to make a charge, which we know he does here.
Yeah, he drops back,
Reinhardt just semi-stalls up there, but it doesn't affect the chase driver.
Have a look here, there's a cone that goes
yeah,
from,
one there. Is that one or two wheels?
Well, it's certainly one. One cone flicked, another one moved, so he was out wide.
Yeah. But, you know, you've got a foot of overhang on that back wheel.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, the cones were moved a little bit closer to the track because that's what the drivers asked for. They didn't want them on the grass, they wanted them right on the edge of the track.
Right then, they've seen it again. Does that give us a decision? I'm trying to eavesdrop, but the music's there,
we
so I
don't
can't
want to
hear them.
eavesdrop. Well, I hope everyone watching has enjoyed it. It's been a treacherous evening with the weather.
Right, I reckon they've got a decision there.
Yeah, it looks like they could have a decision. They look a little bit more relaxed now, don't they?
Yeah. They do.
That's the first time I've seen them smile all day.
Right, now do we get confirmation that the FIA Drifting Cup has a winning nation? Let us see. Looking down onto a floodlit Vallelunga around the back of the paddock in that sort of paperclip section. And are we good? Are we good?
Yeah, it looks like they're packing up. They've got all their notes written down in great detail and all. So, you know, the drivers can go and speak to these judges after and go, you know, how did I lose this battle? How did I win this battle? And they'll have it all written down. Have you bitten your fingernails off yet?
It's getting that way. Partly because I'm hungry, but no, equally because the more I watch this, the less I seem to comprehend quite how people are doing it. And
well, they're
things I've seen surprised me. So maybe what I thought I knew about drifting over this crash course this weekend isn't quite as good as I expected. But the drivers are awaiting a result as well. They don't know who's won yet.
Yeah, happily shaking hands, and the other drivers there congratulating them, knowing that they've both got in the final. Nice to see that the drivers haven't just packed up and gone home.
Here you go. Ilyuk. The Ukraine wins the FIA Drifting Cup. A gold medal goes to the Ukraine at the end of the FIA Drifting Cup here at the first ever FIA Motorsport Games. Ilyuk, it is. Has the message got through? Yes, it has. He's now needed to head round to the podium, but it is a win for the Ukraine.
Fantastic, fantastic. We know that car had pace and it had plenty of grip in it. You know, we said it, I made some wrong calls earlier from the information and the views we had, but when we've had Ryan and the other judges come on, they've explained it. Makes total sense. They have the better view than we do. And this is why you see often online, you know, people going, hang on a minute, how did he win? That don't make sense. And then the judge comes on, explains it nice and clearly. You can't argue.
Well, Dmitry Ilyuk it is then, but scores victory, scores the gold medal for the Ukraine. And the car now will rumble its way, hopefully down the other end of the paddock towards the podium.
And get a round of applause from people down there in the paddock, other drivers going up. Congratulating. It's nice to see that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't always see that, but in drifting, it's very common.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. They haven't just loaded up and gone home because they're out of the competition. They've stayed.
And there is a closing ceremony tomorrow evening, so it's to be hoped that we'll get the drivers all there as well. So this is how it all panned out then. We lost Melage, we lost Meyer, we lost Janto, we lost Brandner, Then we lost Karaya, and Fedorov ended up in the third place battle. Reichert took on Ilyuk from the other side. Nagula took on Sharifo as Putilatsko went against Ilyuk. Ilyuk progressed, so did the Sheriff. The Sheriff got knocked out. He went into the third place fight. And the Ukraine's Ilyuk, it is, that comes through to win the FIA Drifting Cup. And bear in mind that yesterday he was 6th at the end of those qualifying runs to get into the top 16, and yet at the end of day 2 he's the winner, he's the gold medalist.
Yeah, they are, but you see he was quite high up the table.
Yeah.
So, you know, in general, the guys who qualify high are always nearer the podium.
So there is confirmation of who did what, who was knocked out by whom, and so congratulations to Dmitry Ilyuk, and he now makes his way towards the podium as
that
finally the officials
line marshal can get out of the way.
Right there, Stefan Rattel will be on hand to go congratulate the winner, and bravo to the Ukraine. So Dmitry Ilyuk,
lovely, look, his young lad there with him, look at that.
Very, very happy. And a big moment to win a gold medal in these FIA Motorsport Games.
Yeah, making history now, putting a stamp on it. I'm the first man.
Now, what about second and third? Are they going to be there? Time for a selfie? Oh, no, time for a phone call.
No.
Well done.
Here, Mum.
Yeah,
Mum,
guess what?
you
I've
know
just won.
Yeah. You know that money I said I'll pay you back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm spending it on beer tonight.
Alternatively, you know the flight home, upgrade me to the front of the plane.
Yeah.
Right, let's see whether we can have a word with the race. I knew I'd do it. The event winner, Dmitry Ilyuk. It is then from the Ukraine, who is the gold medal winner. Let's hear from him.
Hello. Dmitry, a massive congratulations. Wow, what a final battle that was. Again and again and again, and you came out on top. Well done.
We did it. Thanks for everybody who supported, who believed, because a lot of guys were really believing it, and I've felt the support, and I'm just happy.
Really nice to support your home country as well. How nice is it to take a gold medal home?
That was the target from the beginning, because I was the first guy registered. Then local ASN, through the different kind of things, decided it was me going for the drifting to represent the country, and I'm feeling proud that I didn't up and just did what I had to do, so it's really good.
Congratulations. We'll definitely be hearing the echoes from Ukraine tonight. Thank you very much.
The Ukraine takes honours in the FIA Drifting Cup here at the Motorsport Games. Well done, Dmitry Ilyuk, then, who hopefully in a few moments will be on that top step of the podium.
Yeah, you can see how much it meant to him there.
Yeah.
He was quite choked with that there. People look at this and they go, oh, it's the FIA Games. These drivers are putting their heart and soul in this. They've changed the liveries on their cars. They've got their flags on there. They're all proud of their country, and rightfully so. And this man has all the reason in the world. Look, number one. Yeah, I'm number one.
Very sweet moment indeed.
Good thing to add to your CV.
It is. Now, where's second and where's third out of all of this? Dmitry Ilyuk wanders away. There's second and third. You've got Michael Reichert. You've got also there Fedorov, who was the third place driver. So now we should be able to get the podium underway, should we not?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Ilya Fedorov for third place. So who calls it forward? Let's see. The winning car at the foot of the podium.
Yeah, how proud, how great for your sponsors as well. That's going to be a picture worth every penny they've given you.
Yeah, indeed so. And great to have the drifting community here in such numbers. It's a shame we lost a couple from the battles this evening. Stefan Rattel, whose SRO organisation has put on this event for the FIA and has done it so successfully. And the drifters we don't see again in action tomorrow, but they have certainly entertained and they've had their track time.
Yeah, and they've definitely been a credit to the sport because they have been exceptional. They've been, people go, oh, drifters, they don't, not well behaved and they're unruly. These guys have shown that these guys, they're as professional as everybody else.
Car prep's been fantastic, the action's been good. It's a shame that it has been weather affected, but the podium then is ready. Somewhere though, we need the drivers to be called forward.
His Facebook just went mental.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, if you're still with us, thank you for having tuned in. Thank you for all those that sent me numerous messages and texts and whatnot. I'm sorry I haven't been able to do any shout-outs, but that's just how it is.
Right, I think we are
okay, thank you.
ready now for the podium.
Okay, siamo pronti per il podio.
So the podium is ready, the drivers are there.
We're ready for the
and
fourth medal of this FIA
the
Motorsport
medals
Games.
to be presented then.
Third place
For
the
third
Russian
place, it is
and
Russia. It is Ilya Fedorov who will step forward with the flag. Ilya Fedorov there to go for the third step on the podium.
And a happy man.
Very
a happy man.
Well, bearing in mind who's in the gravel.
Misha Reichert, Czech Republic.
Then for the Czech Republic second, it is Michael Reichert who steps forward onto the podium. And the winning nation of the Drift Cup here at the FIA Motorsport Games for the Ukraine, Dmitry Ilyuk. An excellent performance in a topsy-turvy 2 days of competition for the drifters, as there Dmitry Ilyuk congratulates his rivals, the vanquished, heads to the top step of the podium, and it's the gold for Ukraine. So the gold medal goes to the Ukraine. Dmitry Ilyuk is the recipient of it, and now then the medals set to be presented. Elaine Becker, the Vice President of the FIA Drift Commission, Francesco Cassioli of the Vallelunga Circuit, and Stefan Rattel of SRO Motorsports Group are there, and the bronze medal goes there, you see, to Ilya Fedorov. Well done, that man. Then from the circuit of Vallelunga, Francesco Cassioli will step forward with the silver.
Thank you, Francesco.
And that will go then to the Czech Republic representative, Michael Reichert. And then Stefan Rattel, the founder and CEO of the SRO Motorsports Group, is going to be ready with the gold medal, and that will go the way of Dmitry Ilyuk from the Ukraine. And there, Stefan Rattel steps onto the podium and is very proud to present the gold medal to Dmitry Ilyuk. Bravo to Dmitry. The Ukraine scores honours here in the drift tournament as part of these first FIA Motorsport Games. The drivers now pose for the photographs.
The photograph and the video. Let's read just a moment.
Great action and great skill on display. Your line of last night, there's no mugs here, certainly been proved, and well done. To beat all that opposition, Dmitry Ilyuk has done a great job.
Yeah, outstanding drive, you know, in such treacherous conditions.
So, my guy, it's time to do.
And as you see, look at that, it's absolutely pouring down again.
Yeah. So they're standing out in it, podium down, the champagne.
They won't care about the rain now.
No, they're going to be wet with the spray of the champagne as much as the rain here. The champagne for the top three, and Dmitry Ilyuk then for the Ukraine defeats the Czech Republic and Russia in the Drift Cup within the FIA Motorsport Games.
For him, a great battle, una bella battaglia con il russo Fedorov al terzo posto, con il nostro
So
Federico
let's then
alla finale
have
per il terzo posto.
a quick look at the highlights of the drifting, and there was an awful lot to savour, wasn't there?
Yeah, treacherous conditions. You're seeing here just some of the highlights, what the drivers were faced with. Look at that from inside. Bright lights everywhere, getting up close to the car. Flames coming out of that car in front. Here we saw the bit of contact, which ended in breaking the rear of that car, sending it off into the gravel.
So that gave us the Czech Republic versus the Ukraine for the final, which had to go one more time. Reichert sideways as he went through. Up alongside him was the Ukraine entry, and as the two battle their way through, the scores lent the way of the Ukraine. Dmitry Ilyuk then taking that gold medal. So as the leader, as the chaser, first time around they had to be, so close were they, looked at so closely. We got another replay of a run, we had to go again, and that put the emphasis then on an error-free second go at both. Reichert knocked the cones wide, knocked the cones over. Ilyuk there getting the advantage. And the Ukraine coming through as the winning nation. The Drift Cup goes the way of the Ukraine. Dmitry Ilyuk, the star driver across this evening. And the Ukraine can celebrate. It's all smiles from Dmitry Ilyuk. And certainly drifting has been a big success here this weekend. The gold medal to Dmitry Ilyuk from David Addison and Steve Evans here at Vallelunga. Thanks for your company. Hope you've enjoyed the drifting. There's more race action to look forward to tomorrow. But from Italy, from tonight, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.